Oh, wow. Hi. Hello. Hi! Hello, everybody! I'm not dead! Hello, hello. So, it's been some time, hasn't it? What, 2 years? Something like that? Something like that, yeah. Welcome in, everybody. It has been so long. I am so happy to see so many familiar faces. Oh my gosh. Hello. Oh, I'm sorry, scared anyone. But hello, everybody. But it is good to be back. And for those who are new, welcome. For those who found me through other people or who found me through Offkai, I'm sorry. Prepare to lose any and all respect for me that you had. But for those who are longtime gamers, that is what we call our lovely I guess fan base. Gamers, not like gamer, Gamers, but like gamer, like gay elves. Oh shit! Thank you so much for this sub. Thank you so much for the 41 months. Holy shit! I don't know if it's more moe gap or more gooner gap. I mean, I also am an abomination, but that's, you know, what? Okay. So this is how fucked up things were, right? Okay, let's go into the tea, okay? Because I prepared an entire hype train. What? For what? Did I miss something? It says hype train incoming. Thank you. Did I miss a sub? I see what it is saying. Okay, so it's just, yeah, don't sub to me. But there's a lot. I actually made a whole PowerPoint to explain everything that's going on. So in a way, this is kind of a really scuffed re-debut. So I did debut this model. Oh, Boston, thank you so much for the sub. There's so much tea, so much. So in a way, this is kind of a re-debut. Disaster Millennium, thank you so much for the follow. Because right before I debuted this model, right before I fucking died. So for a lot of you guys, it is your first time seeing it. But so let's do the whole shebang, right? So hello, here's my tits. They have eyes. But this model is based off of my my favorite Daedra, Hermaeus Mora. As you can tell by all the eyeballs and all the green. This right here is my hands and my thighs. She even got that pussy eyeball. My eyes are down here. No, they're dead. But because we have the pussy eyeball, we also don't have feet. So, you know, you win some, you lose some. You can never have it all. Feet in this economy? Are you crazy? Are you out of your mind? But some things never change. So thank you all so much for being here. And I also want to say thank you to everyone who came to my little test stream on Friday. I really didn't think anyone would remember me, and seeing so many familiar faces, seeing some new faces, it really warmed my heart, and I'm really glad to catch you guys up to speed on what's been going on and be here again and play Skyrim again, hopefully. Now, so I say hopefully because I did fuck something up with my save 10 minutes before stream, but I think I fixed it. So, some things, some things never change, truly. But let's talk about where I have been. Okay, let's see. Let me go. Oh, no more music. No more music. Where'd the BGM go? Wait, hold up. Let me, oh, my tits. Wait, hold on. That's my Twitch interactive throwing system. Where'd my tits go? Okay, hold up. Where'd my BGM go? I thought I had it on here. I guess I didn't. Okay, let's put, or actually, we can do this just with that. That'll be fine. Okay, so are you ready for my PowerPoint I made for you? I made for you a PowerPoint, and I worked really hard on it, and you all need to appreciate it. Hold on. Here it is. Okay, are you ready? Hi. I'm going to infodump to you for several hours. That's it. Welcome in though, everybody. I see so many familiar faces. Hello, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. But I'm actually gonna, my BGM's starting to annoy me, low-key. Can we? Wait, I should have thought this through, actually. I was like, maybe I don't want to listen to just the same sound over and over again. Hold up, let me do something real quick. Actually, hold on. What does that say about me? That my BGM is starting to piss me off? Because you know who wrote my BGM? Me. So that's a little bit of a problem. You know what we're gonna do? Actually, let's set the scene. Hold up. Where's my... Hold up. We're gonna set the scene. We're setting the scene. We're setting the scene. Holding. Holding. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. You like that? You like that Skyrim ambience? Oh, yeah, baby. Oh, yeah, baby. Alright, let me know if that's too loud. But... Are we ready to get back into my twisted mind? I'm gonna lower it. It's actually really loud for me. Hold up. It's still really loud for me. There we go. Okay. Alright. Now it's time for my presentation. Are you ready for my presentation? 5 years. Oh my god. It's been I think I've been streaming for 6 years. That's crazy to think about. Alright. Anyway. Welcome to my twisted mind. So, if you are new here, something you may not have known, but you probably figured out relatively quickly, I have autism. And really, all I did on stream was play Skyrim as my OCs and info dump about my OCs. So, let's talk about that. So, hello. Previously, on eebee Games. Yeah. Lots and lots of gooning. As many of you know, I am a grade A pervert, and rest assured, that is not going to change. I promise you. But also, what happened, like I said before, I did a lot of streams featuring OCs that I wanted to write a book about. And what ended up happening is about, I think 2 years ago, I was like, you know what? Everyone keeps telling me I should write about my OCs, and I should write. I'm gonna do that. So I started writing, and I started taking writing seriously. And then I fucking died. So pretty much what happened about 2 years ago, I came home from Offkai Expo, and I already had really, really bad vocal damage that I was kind of ignoring because the grind never stops, right? And turns out the grind does stop sometimes. Actually, the grind will sometimes forcefully come to a halt. So... when I came home from Offkai like 2 years ago, I came back with really, really, really bad COVID. And that kind of like knocked my voice flat on my ass. It was Jover. I had to basically stop. And this was like a week after I debuted this model too. I was absolutely devastated. I had just debuted this model. I had just put out my first original song. I was really, I was literally in tears, I think, at one point. I literally had a full-on mental breakdown because it's like I had worked so hard for this, and now, you know, I have all these doctors telling me, if you do not slow down, you will lose your voice. And as many of you know, and some of you are my students I see in here, I'm a singing teacher as my full-time job. So if I have no voice, I'm cooked. I'm fucked. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, right? So... basically, I kind of was forced to take a hiatus from streaming, and a lot of things happened, like, not bad things, you know, but things were just really, like, volatile for a while with my health, with my voice. I actually ended up moving back in with my parents, simply because things were just kind of crazy, and it felt just kind of easier, especially as a full-time freelancer, because the last thing I wanted to do was go back into the public school system. I would frankly rather die than go teach in public school again. So I moved back in with my parents. I kept freelancing. I had like a severely reduced schedule for a bit, and now my schedule's back to where it was. But I wasn't able to stream for a very, very long time. But in that time, right, I started taking writing like really seriously. I was like, okay, if I'm not gonna stream, I'm gonna put my whole pussy into writing, right? And, oh, yeah, and, and made a Tumblr erotica blog, but we'll talk more about that later. But it is important. It is a very pivotal part of the story. Write that down. But basically, I started writing the story of one of my OCs that I featured a lot on this stream. Her name's Vanya. She's actually right above me. Look at her go. I love her. And I started writing it, and I got like 60K words in. I had like the first act done, and I was really, really grateful to find a mentor who is a very established, very accomplished writer. Like, this person has multiple books out. They've been on the New York Times bestseller list. And basically, I'm teaching them singing lessons in exchange for them sort of mentoring me. And this was an opportunity that's like, I would be a fool to pass this up, right? So I presented that to her, and she very kindly was like, this is really ambitious, especially as a first project, right? I don't think this is a good idea, especially if you want to go the trad pub route. I don't think this is a good idea to be your first book. And I was absolutely heartbroken, but she was right? And so she asked me, do you have any side projects? Maybe something else we could focus on? And I did have a side project, actually. I do have a side project. And I told her, yes, I have this elf mafia yaoi thing I'm working on. It's like a side thing. And she was like, what the fuck are we doing? Let's write that. So think of that like factory meme where it's like, damn, we making circles now. It's like, damn, we making yaoi now. So back to the Tumblr erotica. I told you it would be important. I told you it would come back up again. Did I lie? No, I would never lie to you. I've never lied to you ever, actually. So, let me put the chat back over here. Oh, well, hold up. So, pretty much, the whole reason I started a Tumblr erotica blog is I realized that, as mentioned earlier, I am a grade A pervert, and I decided I wanted to write my characters fucking. I wanted to do it a lot, because I'm a gooner freak. We've been over this. Why is also, do you see how my model is like, hold up, let me do this real quick. Yeah, there we go. Okay. That was bothering me. So, enter my Tumblr porn blog. So if you're wondering, eebee, what did you do when you're on hiatus? I wrote 300,000 words of erotica. And I actually grew a lot as a writer doing that. So this is the life hack that I learned. So for any other creatives in the chat, artists, writers, whatever, life hack. If you want people to care about your original characters, make people want to fuck them. Because, oh my god, it worked. And I posted about this stream on my Tumblr, but I actually have a whole other community on Tumblr that I'm hoping will also be here. If you are one of the Tumblr girlies, please sound out. That's what I did. I wrote a lot of porn of a lot of characters I had concepts of, and that's kind of what I did, is I just kind of like, as a way to like fuck around and explore different genres, different ideas, I wrote a lot of these like ex-reader type stories, right? I noticed those were really big, and this was kind of my first experience with like, quote unquote, writing to market, right? Because I personally I didn't enjoy ex-reader stories a whole lot, right? But I had seen a lot of them on Tumblr, and I ended up, like, I didn't like them on principle, but then I ended up reading more, and I actually found I enjoyed them. Like, I'm gonna be so honest with you, I don't know jack shit about Jujutsu Kaisen. I don't know jack shit about JJK, but I've seen so many X-Reader fanfics with Gojo, I don't even want to watch it anymore. Because I know because of those fanfics, I have a preconceived notion of that man, and I'm gonna watch the show, and it's gonna ruin that. So, yeah, anyway. The power of literature, right? But I wrote a bunch of these as character concepts, and then as like kind of vague character concepts, and then these concepts became fully fleshed characters on their own, right? I have to, chat is like continuing to cuck me. Hold on, I'm gonna put chat up here for a little bit. I hope that's okay. There we go. I then realized, wait, I already have this world that I have been world building. I already have this world that I've been working on for years. And a lot of these characters I'm developing for Tumblr would work really nicely in my own world building, right? Particularly the characters I had that belong to this modern / urban fantasy type setting that I have been working on. That's in the same world as like Vanya and Severin and Jasper and all my old OCs, right? So that is how I got the idea for a mafia yaoi with elves set in the early 2000s. Like, it's not literally the early 2000s, but that's like the tech era. So we have elves with like blackberries and shit. I'm actually really, really proud of it. But I actually have a completed manuscript for the first time in my life. I've started countless first drafts. I've never actually finished any of them until now. And that's part of why I chose now as a time to come back to streaming, because the whole reason I got back into writing and taking writing seriously in the first place, because I've always loved writing, and I think I told you guys before about how there was this guy that I was seeing before David, and I showed him my writing, and he pretty much told me that it was stupid and I should never write again. And then I listened to him like an idiot, and I never wrote again. But I had never even considered like actually like writing again until I started streaming. So that's why I wanted to come back, because at the end of the day, if it wasn't for you guys, I would have gotten this far, you know, and to actually like have something complete in my hands, even though it's still gonna go through a few more passes before it's like published and stuff, is really, really crazy to me. Oh, Iron Glove, thank you so much for the tier 1. I really appreciate it. Man, I love writing. Man, I love writing. I love writing so much. I've learned a lot in all the, like, I joke about it, but honestly, all the side stories, all the, you know, erotic, even the stuff with Vanya that I wrote that may never come to fruition, or at least may come to fruition in a way that's very different, taught me a lot about writing. And that, and also reading. That was my #1 tip. If you want to get better at writing, no one wants you to do this, but I'm gonna tell you to do it. If you want to get better at writing, fucking read. Read, bitch! But anyway, so, oh, for some reason, these little things didn't get. Okay, that's fine. I like my little clicky thing, right? So I want to give a disclaimer. And again, I'm going to kind of structure this as if we have new friends and old friends, because we do have new friends and old friends. So some of these characters you might not have ever heard of before. Some of these characters you might know really well from if you've watched my streams for a while. But to avoid confusion, because they are all set in the same world, and they are all hopefully at one point or another all going to be in the same Skyrim save together. I've been cooking. We're gonna just quick little disclaimer, right? The current project I am working on is set 300 years after Vanya, Severin, Jasper, that whole group of people, right? However, it will be the first thing I officially released, and there's a lot of connections to Vanya and whatnot, but for clarity, we're gonna refer like Vanya's timeline and her stuff as Era 0, and all the Elf Mafia yaoi characters as Era 1, right? So even though Vanya and the gang, like I invented them first, right? I'm calling them 0 because I didn't want to go... Yeah, you get it. And if you're new and you don't know who the hell I'm talking about, don't worry, that will be explained. But that is one of my blorbos up there in front of me. I have several blorbos, and we're gonna talk a lot about them. Okay, so, but we do have before that, we have some review. Are you taking notes? Are you taking notes? Don't. Oh, well, fuck! Oh, wrong button! Fuck! I need to change that hotkey. Never mind. Okay, you know what? It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Okay, hold on. So, I did accidentally make my VTuber lore into a religion. So, if you were here for the re-debut, or the initial debut of this model, you might know what I'm talking about. So, basically, right, and this is also one of the ideas I got for writing. Originally, in my lore video, and I have since unlisted it, just for a few, like, personal reasons, I guess. There's some characterizations that just straight up aren't accurate anymore, and there's some things I want to, like, tweak with it, I guess, you know? But in my original lore video, right, I mentioned my VTuber was someone who freed mages from the gods and brought magic to the world. That was the general gist, is magic, like, if you were a mage, you were not allowed to roam the earth, you had to be stuck up in the heavens, imprisoned by the gods, right? And then my VTuber came along, Evangelina Illyri was her name, and she freed all of them. And I looked at that concept, and I was like, you could make a religion out of that. So a lot of my... I forgot I wrote this down. I kind of made myself Jesus in my own world building. Little conceited, but, you know, nobody's perfect. But yes, I'm real. But I'm not Jesus. But I am real. Pretty much this character, right? And I'm making a clear distinction to say this character, right? That was based originally off my VTuber design, right? Everyone can be Jesus for a little bit. was essentially a very pivotal figure in the world, right? She did a lot. She's a very important historical figure, very important religious figure, and then there's all that world building over there. So we're not gonna go talk about like a ton of places because I don't have my world map done. I used to have a world map, but I'm remaking it. But the two places you need to know right now, okay, the two places you need to know that are gonna come up, actually there's three. There's three places. Is Irilith, which is basically the land of the mages, Eldor, which is a fallen and fractured empire that once had a total ban over magic, and Zorus, which, to be completely frank, has a lot going on, and I haven't done as much world building for it, but we'll get there. We'll get there, right? But yes, hello everybody. I promise we are going to play Skyrim, but I have to info dump at you first. It's very important I info dump at you, okay? I got autism, okay? So, oh, yes, I don't have a consistent world map. I'm working on it, though. I'm working on it. Okay, now we get into my OCs and characters that you have seen several times. You may have also accidentally seen their tits because of the type of Skyrim mods I run, but that's okay. So we're going to talk about, so all the characters that I'm going to tell you about, except for like one, are hopefully soon going to be in the Skyrim save that we are playing today. So a lot of you guys know that I used to do a lot of stuff with Candleberg. He is the curator of the Immersive and Adult and Immersive and Epic collections on Nexus. And when I first started playing Skyrim again, he was actually still on hiatus. And there was no, like, Immersive and Epic at the moment. I don't think Immersive and Epic was in a playable state. So I did switch over to Blood and Lust, and we are going to be playing Blood and Lust today. But I do want to eventually go back and try the new Immersive and Epic. And I have talked to Burke and stuff since then, and he's doing a lot better. And I'm really happy for him and all he's done. And my 7 billion boyfriends. Yes, but we are going to be playing with a combination of Blood and Lust and Proteus, and that is something I've worked really hard to try and get all my OCs as followers in the game. Which, will this potentially brick my save? Yes, but that's okay. Because let's be so honest, I'm gonna brick my save anyway. But welcome in everyone who just came in, hello! Okay, so, the big thing you need to know about Era Zero is one of the most important historical figures in my world building is a scrunkly autistic bisexual who accidentally became the mother of modern medicine. She's very important and she's very scrunkly. Oh, I'm covering up the Yuri. Hold on. Yuri! Okay, let me put myself right here. It's really important to me that you see the girls kissing. There's a lot of toxic Yuri in her arc, and I want you guys to know. But this is Vanya Illyri. She's the OG. If you've been around my streams for a while, you know I love this bitch so fucking much. I love her so much. Look how pretty she is. Look how gorgeous she is. She looks so gorgeous in Game 2, the new preset I made of her. I'm really hoping that I can get her like in the game. But I tried to get her in the game today and it made everything start crashing. So yeah. Yuri will conquer the world! True! Truth nuke! Okay, so Vanya Illyri's important place in the world building, because this does actually relate to the Yowie. Okay, the Yuri does relate to the Yowie. It's like trickle-down economics, except not at all. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. But she is the first person to discover blood magic. So when I was making her in Skyrim, I had to be careful. When I originally played her, we had a lot of like blood magic mods and stuff. But unfortunately, since she's gonna be a follower, I wasn't able to give her a ton of blood magic mods or blood magic spells, just because a lot of like the spells that come from like Triumvirate, Apocalypse, Odin, those really popular mods, right? Those are, how do I say this? Some of the things they do, they don't go as well with followers, right? I'm a Yowie follower. How to relate that with magic? Don't worry, there's magic in the Yowie too, right? It all is connected. I promise we'll get there. I promise. Right? This is our Yuri moment for now. But I promise we'll have our Yowie moment. I draw so much gay porn. Okay, anyway. But what you need to know about her, because we are introducing a new character to this, because there are a few new characters from Vanya's era that we never got around to playing when I was streaming. But her whole thing that you need to know, this is all you need to know, right, is she is very famous for blood magic, and her mentor may or may not be a terrorist that she fled the country with because they blew a bunch of shit up together. And she was also involved in a bisexual love triangle. But I don't know if I can really call it a love triangle because none of them really wanted her that bad. She was in a love triangle with a hot elf guy and a beautiful butch woman, who we're gonna get to later. And she marries another one, my OC Severin, eventually. But she's really autistic, she's really smart, and she does blood magic. That is what you need to know. But she will be here, and I love her. I love her so much. Okay. Now, are we ready for beautiful night women? Okay, because this is her op, but also her oomph. Okay, this is where the toxic Yuri comes in. This is her op, but also her oomph. Okay, so we never got to play her, but this is my OC Freya, and she was actually one of my first ever OCs. I think we had plans to play her like forever ago, and then that was right before I got sick. But she fumbled Vanya so hard it almost turned her into an alcoholic. Love that. She comes from a family of mage killers, but keeps fucking mages. Curious! And Pikachu, thank you so much for the follow. Welcome to the stream. How to scale your OC with power scale Yuri power? Carefully, and with scissoring. But basically, she's kind of a controversial figure in the lore, right? She swaps out. Oh, Epic, thank you so much for the bits. We will see her in game too. She keeps accidentally getting naked, but it's okay because she's hot. But she's kind of a polarizing figure in the world's history. She was hailed a hero in Irilith because she betrayed Eldor to help the mages. But her hometown thinks she's kind of an op, you know. But she does eventually marry a woman named Faldra. She fumbles Vanya, but she does marry a beautiful assassin lady who we will also see later, right? So I can't go too much into the toxic Yuri because this is something I'm still writing, and I don't want to like accidentally say something and it's like, actually, there was toxic Yuri in Jesus's lore if you think about it, yeah. But she is also going to be adventuring with us. But yes, she basically, the TLDR of it is Vanya wanted her real bad, and then instead of like getting with Vanya, she ended up getting with someone who eventually would try to get Vanya killed and forced Vanya to flee the country. But she also is still kind of into her, but yeah, she's an op and she's oomph, low-key. But she will be adventuring with us, okay? And now we have this guy, and this guy I do not have in the game yet. If you remember my writing streams, he came on very, very early, and he's not super important, except he is. Pay more attention to the last name more than anything, right? The big thing is he's besties with Freya and Vanya, and he comes from a very religious, traditional elvish family. He also has a spear. That's cool. He also dies an uneventful death and is forgotten by history as a whole. So, like, he's important to me, but not important to the grand scheme of things. But I'm bringing him up because someone he's related to in the Yowie is actually very important. We're starting to see the connections. Also, fumbled Vanya. Like I said, Freya and Cade both fumbled Vanya. Keep him in mind for later, right? Now, this is another new OC who is more important. This is Freya's waifu, Faldra. And she is also in the Yowie, because Faldra is an elf. So she is in the Yowie, and she kills people. She's a woman from Zoris, which is the nation that I still need to world build more. Who moved to Irilith to be a dancer, but ended up becoming an assassin instead. And she is a student of my favorite emotional support old man, who we will talk about later. She has the same mentor as Vanya, but she specializes in shadow magic. And she accidentally assassinated the wrong guy and inadvertently started a war. Like, she was like Franz Ferdinand, but like as an oopsie. But everyone makes mistakes, okay? Everyone has those days. She did a little fucky wucky and it accidentally caused a world war. But like, she didn't mean it. And she's cute. So it's fine, right? It's fine, right? But she does marry Freya. So I think that's great. This guy... Okay, now we are getting back to the two characters that... So Vanya, Severin, and Jasper were the ones I played the most when I streamed originally. Ah, fuck! There we go. But he basically is Vanya's husbando. And he is also a student of Velthel Nerixi, who is Freya and Vanya's mentor. I'm going through this kind of fast because I don't want to, like, infodump too much, right? But he is our cinnamon roll. He is our small bean. He does a lot of flower magic. And he fled his hometown to study flower magic and not have to deal with his abusive father, right? Now, if you guys remember that playthrough where I fucked everyone, like literally everyone other than like people I could not fuck, like any marriage candidate I fucked in Skyrim, And remember that time I got my dick stuck in a table? If you are new, you probably think I sound fucking insane. But if you remember this man, that is this character, Jasper, who is Severin's brother. And he was in line to be a warlord, but he doesn't do that, and he actually canonically is the person who invents firearms. He is a blacksmith and a pit fighter. He had a fling with a noblewoman and is still really fucked up about it, and he's a whore, okay? He has a heart of gold, but he's kind of a slut. So, you know, the same thing can be said of the MC of my yaoi, right? But if you watch my old streams, you remember him. He's a good guy, but he will stick his dick in anything that moves, okay? But he's oof, okay? He's oof, right? We forgive oof, right? This is the sexiest man alive. Okay, full disclosure, I'm so mad I never got to stream with this man. I think he's so hot. I want him so bad. I don't care if he's 650 years old. I need him, like, biblically. And, like, if you're thinking, like, oh, but eebee, you're married. What about your husband? My husband also wants him biblically. We both want him. He's fantastic. I love him. He's a terrorist, a war veteran, and an advisor to the nobility. But I love him so much. He was raised to be a shadowmancer, and he studied shadow magic, but he decided to blow shit up instead because he's a bit of an arsonist. And he was so annoying that he got sent away to do spy work, and that is where he met Vanya and brought her to Iarlath and mentored her. He is also in the yaoi. He is my emotional support old man. And his entire reason for why he has beef with the MC of my yaoi is someone in their noble house fucked his wife. And he's had that beef for like 350 years. And his response to having someone fuck his wife is he ended up just like, wait, who did he fuck? Someone fucked his wife. I'm trying to remember who he fucked. Because he fucked a lot of people in lore. I have notes on this somewhere, but I don't know where they are. But someone fucked his wife, so he, I think he ended up fucking his affair partner's, like, sister. Like, all three of his sisters. And then he got kicked out. So he's an icon, and I love him. He's a bitch, and I love him. I have to be careful, because my beta readers for, like, my new book, right? The beta readers for my new book, some of them think he's too mean. But the people that read my original book, love him. So I have to double check. What did I say? Did I say something bad? I probably did. He didn't fuck his sister. No, he didn't fuck his sister. He fucked his, what's the word for like affair partner, but it's like a guy? I don't know. But he fucked. That's all you need to know. Okay? That's all you need to know. I probably said something stupid. I say a lot of stupid shit. But we're just gonna not think about it. But you're probably wondering, how does this all relate to your yaoi, eebee? How does it all relate to your yaoi? It does! So, here's the premise, okay? Here's the lore. Side piece? Yeah, I don't know exactly. I feel like we need more gender-neutral terms for adultery. We're starting off really strong, if you think about it. So the premise of my yaoi, this is all set in the same world that I've been working on for several years, right? Is 300 years after Vanya's whole thing. So in the yaoi, Vanya is dead. I haven't decided how she dies yet, but she's dead, right? Severin is dead. Jasper is dead. They're all dead except for Velethil Nerixi, my emotional support old man, and Faldra, because she is also an elf, right? They're dead. But what happened is the place where all the nobles lived got the absolute shit bombed out of it. Oh, Iron Glove, thank you so much for the gift sub to Sap. That's really sweet of you. Thank you. But people got sick of the noble shit, so they bombed the place where they live. They were like, bam, 9/11, okay? And so the surviving noble families went into hiding, and then many of them turned to crime in order to regain power and respect within the capital city. And this is low-key kind of what happened with the Italian mafia, is a lot of the Italian mafia was former nobility that was like ousted. So that was my inspiration for that. And basically, I mentioned earlier about how Velethil Nerixi has beef with this one house because they fucked his wife. That is the house that is important, right? That is the house that is very much featured in the yaoi, and they sell magic drugs, essentially, right? They sell magic meth. They're like Walter White, like blue meth, like Bluesky type shit, okay? So they make a lot of money doing that. They have rebranded. They are no longer called the Zarzarans. They are called the Vidrexes now. But they are basically the mob in this world. And that brings us to the Yowie, okay? Look at my son. Look at my son. Look at my son. Look at my son. This is my boy. This is my Skrunkly. This is my baby girl. Look at him. You might be wondering, eebee, how can a man be baby girl? Well, just look at him. Look at him and tell me that's not baby girl right there. Okay, I should tell you about him. Also, all the art here was drawn by me. I've been learning how to draw, and I'm not very good at it, but I'm trying really hard, simply because I want to draw him in situations. But this is my boy, Callum Vidrexa, my goat, my homeboy, my beautiful princess with a disorder. I love him so much. Also, if you hear a really weird noise, it's because I live with my parents now, and someone just opened the garage. eebee, how can I unhard myself after seeing? It's okay if you get a little hard. Can I be so real with you? Oh my god. Okay, off topic, slightly off topic for like 2 seconds, right? One of my friends, deadass, was like, eebee, I started like reading some of the stuff you wrote, and I was like, oh, and she's like, she's being really cool. She's like, and that was crazy. That was hot. And like, I could tell she was trying to compliment me, but was kind of embarrassed about it. But I fucking clicked my heels together like a little British schoolboy and was like, yippee! Like, if you tell me that the porn I write or the art I make, like, turns you on, then it's like, oh my god, thank you. That means I did it well, you know? So I take it as a compliment, right? I was just like, yippee! But anyway, let me tell you about my beautiful princess with a disorder, okay? Because he's also who we are literally playing as in Skyrim, simply because he has a gun, so I made him a stealth archer, and I like stealth archers. Because this is also... Admittedly, having all my OCs, instead of doing separate playthroughs and having all my OCs as followers instead of having a playthrough for each of them, admittedly, this is the way I'm getting away with being a stealth archer the entire time. I don't want to do other playstyles. I just want to shoot, okay? But he was born to that elvish noble house we talked about, but he does not really give a fuck. He is the youngest general of the Vidrexa mob, or House Zarzarian, they're kind of the same thing. In history, at 25, he is also a mega slut. That is very important. He is a massive grade A pervert. I think it mentions that he actually, like, sucked a guy off in, like, the fucking Civil War battlefield of this world, because he wanted to. So, honestly, icon. They are also very gender non-conforming. They're constantly, okay, part of my creation for this dude, deadass, was I read a lot of, like, Korean mafia BL, and the one thing that, like, bothered me, low-key, is, like, why can't the femme twink be the one with a gun? Why can't the femme twink be the one that kills people? Why does it always have to be the, like, super ripped, like, alpha daddy guy? Give the twink a gun. Give the femboy a gun. Let him do crime. And that was what I wanted to do. So there are several scenes where he is cross-dressing. There are several, he very much enjoys feminine clothing and makeup, and he has a gun and can kill you, right? So if you have recommendations of Mafia Yaoi where the femme twink gets a gun, please send it to me, because I have not been successful in my search. I don't know. I've been having a hard time finding comp titles, because so many of the MM, like, stories I read, it's just like, I don't know. Maybe this is me being, like, too woke, but if we're going to, we have, like, the femme fatale archetype, right? However, it seems like whenever, and of course I can't, like, throw stones in glass houses as a femme-presenting person writing MM romance, right? But, like, why are we constantly portraying the one who has more feminine traits as weak? That's weird, right? Like, do you hear where I'm getting at, you know? So, I don't know, maybe I'm being too woke, but that was my inspiration. Also, I was watching Breaking Bad, and I think, like, maybe me or my husband made a joke. Oh yeah, I got married, by the way. Forgot to mention that. Me and David got married. But I think like one of us made a joke about like femboy Jesse Pinkman or something. And that was just like I was like, oh, okay, you know. But yeah, where did you get the first name from? For myself or for my OC? Because I think for myself, my name is Evie, and I like being called eebee sometimes. I think it's really cute. My pen name is also eebee. For his name, I'm gonna be so real with you. I think I just found it on Fantasy Name Generator. Only took 45 minutes in the stream to mention. I forgot. Okay, I'll give you the story real quick, and then we'll continue talking about my boy, my homeboy. Okay, because basically what happened is me and David were like, insurance is really expensive, and my insurance as a freelancer was getting really, really fucking expensive. But thank you guys. So he was like, we could get married, and I was like, yeah, we should do that. And he proposed, and I said yes, because like, what else was I gonna do? Say no? That'd be crazy. And what happened is we thought about like having like a whole ass wedding, and then we were like, this sounds like a lot. I don't want to do that. So instead, we went to the courthouse, we signed some papers, and we went to Chili's. That was it. And, you know, I had someone, I think it was Rezi actually, who asked did we share a triple dipper, and no, we did not share a triple dipper. We got our own triple dippers because we're fat fucks. We weren't gonna share with each other, that'd be crazy. But it was a good time. But yeah, I felt like I should maybe mention that. But let me go back to my thing. We're getting distracted, but we can do this, okay? Is David the husband or the wife? Depends on the day. I got proposed one time, so I said hi to a girl and her proposed me to fuck off. Crazy. 10 years ago, but it was an Applebee's. That's awesome. Yeah, our anniversary is actually April 1st. We didn't plan on that, but then I realized it and I was like, that's crazy. But anyway, back to my baby girl. This kind of stuff we already said, right? Can kill you and will look good while doing it. He's also severely traumatized, but that's not important. Oh, okay, maybe I should maybe I should have been more careful about the art that I chose. We'll get into that later. I mean, I think I showed it on Twitch on Friday and it was fine. And I show crazy shit on stream all the time, but anyway, we'll look at the whole thing later. I don't want it just like glaring at us, okay? But all the art here I also drew. So Tuna, thank you for the hydrate. Thank you for the hydrate and the posture check. Okay, so this is the love interest of the Yowie, and you'll notice that he has the same last name as the elf that fumbled Vanya and died an unimportant death. So there's a little bit of a ooh there, okay? This is our love interest. 30 years old, finished medical school, quit working in an ER due to burnout. On a whim, applied for a hemomancy fellowship with Dr. Valethil Narixi, Vanya's mentor, mind you. And he, to his surprise, got it. He's angry. Yeah, he has really bad resting bitch face. Like, that's just part of his bit. He ends up hooking up with some blonde pretty boy. Surely this won't have consequences. But his whole reason for the kind of doing what he does is he is studying blood magic's effect with anthurium, with the drug that Callan's family sells. So a lot of this is them having a lot of near misses. A lot of this is them, you know, Callan trying to be in the mob and do his mob things and sell drugs. And then Alex trying to, helpfully with his research, bring down the mob by studying blood magic's effects with anthurium, with the drug there, right? Okay, do we want to look at here, I drew this, like, okay, I'll be so real, I drew this the night before off guy, but here you go. I think he's really cute. I kind of want him to be fatter, to be honest, but I don't know how to draw that. I also want him to be hairier. But yeah, I drew that. Do you like it? I want to draw more of him. I want to draw more of them naked, but I'm really bad at drawing, like, I'm really bad at drawing dicks, to be honest. Like bulge is fine, but drawing, like, dicks and balls is where I get, like, stuck. So we're gonna work on it, okay? And I am thinking about maybe doing some drawing streams. So if you would like to see drawing streams, let me know. Do you have a map of all the interconnections between the OCs? Yes, I do have an Obsidian page, but it's really unorganized. But in Obsidian, you can kind of see all the dots connecting things. But everyone has like a little bit of a connection, you know? So he kind of actually like looks to Vanya like the way that like he sees Vanya as like, oh my god, that's, Vanya's, he's not like a, I don't want to say like a simp, because I don't think he's attracted to women, like, period. But he's like, oh my gosh, like, Vanya, Illyri, hello, I respect you and your work so much, oh my god. So he's a very big fan of her and her work, but he does not realize that his ancestor was hooking up with her and then fumbled her. I'm sure he'll find that out later. Hands are really hard too. I don't know how I did these, to be honest. Faith, trust, and pixie dust, probably, you know. He also has a southern accent. I can't call it a southern accent in the text because that means something different, but he does have a southern accent and he's really hot and I love him. Okay. Now we are talking about another scrunkly. This is the only one where I think I included a Tomodachi Life screenshot as well. I love this man. Okay, so Dr. Velethil Nerixi, the terrorist, the arsonist, the former alcoholic, has a son, and his son is named Taliesin, and Taliesin is a recovering hikikomori NEET elf who spent 80 years doing nothing but reading, writing, jacking off, and playing RuneScape, essentially. He, despite both of his parents being very prolific mages in universe, he cannot use magic at all. What does he do? He's a programmer! I didn't just give him the programmer sex for no reason. He earned them, okay? He earned them! A recovering Rick and Morty. I love that. Listen, he's very cute. He's very sweet. Although my mom called him stupid. Which, by the way, all this crazy shit, my mom's read my book in full now. And she called him stupid. I was like, no, he's not stupid. He's just a little socially stunted. Leave him alone. He's just a baby. I mean, he's 102 years old, but he's just a baby. But part of the reason he is a hikikomori is he was there when Magister's Hill, the place where all the nobles lived, got 9/11. And I really shouldn't use that as a verb, should I? When it got blown up. And he spent nearly 80 years in his room. As I said, he is incapable of magic. He also has an allergy to teleportation, so while all the other characters... This is how you know I'm fucking autistic. I invented, like, for my world, this, like, really crazy interconnected, like, teleportation system that they use as public transit. But Taliesin can't use it because he gets really bad stomach aches and will throw up violently on the teleporters if he uses them. So he drives like this world's equivalent of like a Toyota Corolla. Because he can't use the teleporters, he will throw up. And yeah, he's really cute. I have him in my Skyrim save. I don't know if we're gonna do anything with him because he's just a silly little guy who just wants to play video games. He's a side character. I love him. And unironically, he is the most sane out of everyone there and the most normal, but he's just a little awkward, so that doesn't always show. Are we back? We are now slightly getting back to Yuri. And there is no Yuri with Leona specifically, but I want her to be Yuri with me because she's hot. So this is Callan's, another side character. This is Callan's best friend who also grew up in a crime family that is a newer crime family that specializes in blood and organ trafficking. But she tries too hard not to think about it. She is a model. And she's mean, but she's hot, so it's okay. So not too much to say about her, but she will be in game. I'll probably say more about her as I'm playing her. I'll like think of more things, but that's all I can think of right now. But her name's Leona. She's very pretty, and she's kind of rude sometimes. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That is all my OCs. I put them all in Skyrim. So we are gonna have all the OCs that we used to have, and we're gonna have a lot of new OCs. Now, what happened, right, is I tried, and we're going to start to get Skyrim loaded, and this might take a while because we have 1,500 mods right now as opposed to the old 850. But I wanted to give you guys, like, a little rundown, you know, because we're gonna we're gonna, I didn't want to just like drop these characters in with the old ones and be like, here you go. I wanted to kind of explain them a little bit, but also kind of explaining what I've been working on, because what I've been working on is Callan and Alex's love story. So we're gonna hope that the Yaoi does well, and then I can write Yuri, and I'm probably gonna write more Yuri anyway, because Freya and Vanya's toxic situationship is really, really great. And I think it'll be good. It's my first time here, and you hooked me with Yuri and Arson. That's all I got, you know. But I want to tell you guys what I'm working on. So, and I'm gonna say this as Skyrim loads, because it's gonna take a long time to load. But when I was on my break, I kind of I did a lot of thinking, right? Of like, okay, what do I enjoy to do? What do I enjoy about streaming? Because I found myself playing Skyrim by myself, and I had fun, but I found myself really, really, really missing streaming. And the conclusion I kind of came to was that, and I talked about this a little bit Friday, but I want to talk about it again here since this is like the mainstream. The conclusion I kind of came to is that I want to stream. I don't know if I want to be a streamer, if that makes sense, right? I don't, when it comes to like the things that like make me, oh, Earthy, thank you so much for the follow. Welcome to the stream. But yeah, it was like one of those things where like, I'm the type of person that when I do something, I can't like half-ass anything. I have to whole-ass everything, right? But the thing with streaming is it can be a lot if you decide to whole-ass it, right? Because it's not just streaming, right? It's social media. It's, you know, it's, what is it? Like making TikToks. It's managing, you know, Discords and stuff like that. And I realized those were the things that were stressing me out, right? Those were the things that weren't making me happy and kind of contributed to my burnout alongside, you know, my physical health issues. So I kind of was like, you know what? I want to stream again. But what's going to happen is I'm probably not going to have a Discord again just because it was a lot, you know? It was just a lot. And I might edit some videos sometimes, if I feel like it, you know, but it's not going to be like pretty much my goal with this, right? And let me change my stream category. Hold up. Can I alt tab, please? Thank you. There we go. And pretty much my goal with this is, at the end of the day, the main thing that I'm doing that has sort of, you know, funneled my creativity for so long is writing, right? And I got a lot of my inspiration, you know, for writing from streaming. And I wanted to take you guys along with that journey because I wouldn't be on this writing journey in the first place if I wasn't streaming. And also, it gives me a lot of inspiration, but my main thing is still gonna be writing, right? So I do still have my old Twitter, and that I am mostly saving for off-choir, for EMS, my work VTuber stuff, right? Because that's the other thing too, is I'm kind of a VTuber for work in a way, right? I work with VTubers for a living, so it gets weird, right? So that is gonna stay, but it is not going to be for my streams. But where I'm going to post about my streams and where I'm going to post about my writing is going to be on Bluesky. So if you would like to keep up with that, definitely please consider following me there. Because that's probably, that and YouTube are gonna be the only places that I post about my streams. Simply because, and I also asked that, this probably sounds really weird, but I do say some really unhinged shit. And I know it was mostly said as a joke, but I do want to keep my streams and my other projects, my work-related projects like off-choir, like, you know, like my teaching separate. So I kindly ask that you don't post too much about my streams in those servers, just because I don't want someone, because again, a lot of my content is very NSFW. Like, I don't do NSFW stuff, but I write a lot of NSFW stuff. I draw a lot of NSFW stuff, and I don't want people to be, and that's not for everyone, and that's okay, right? And I would hate for someone to be dissuaded from taking lessons with me or joining off choir because of that, right? So if you like post that I'm streaming or post like a meme or here or through there in like off-topic channels, that's one thing, you know. But I asked that, I guess it's like keep the stream in the stream. Does that make sense? You know, and obviously I can't, you know, control you, right? And if you want to post it on Twitter or Bluesky, that's fine. But just in those like official sort of channels, I would like it to be, because I don't want off choir, especially, off choir is not about me, right? Off choir is about the entire ensemble, right? And as a director, I would feel kind of shitty making it about me. Even if it's like you guys want to make it about me, I really appreciate that. But I don't want people to feel like they have to come to my streams if they want to be involved in off choir. Does that make sense? I don't know. You know, I guess I don't want to feel like I'm promoting myself too much, right? Don't talk about Fight Club. Yeah. It's kind of like Fight Club, right? You don't talk about Fight Club, right? But yeah, so I don't know why my teacher brain like activated. I have the need to be like, any questions? Any questions? Like, but yeah, so it's don't talk about Goon Club. Yeah, Goon Club is for Goon Club, right? We have the work eevee and the after hours eevee, and this is after hours eevee where I'm gonna goon. So anyway, goon time. Oh, how's Jetmir? Oh, he has herpes right now. I forgot about that. That's why I showed off of. Yeah, and that's totally fine, Zetsuna. The only thing is, like, I do say some stuff that is really weird out of context. So just be careful, because I don't want to offend anybody. Yeah, Jetmir has herpes. Okay. Hold on. Let me find. Oh God, do I have the picture? I don't think I have the picture, because hold up. I don't think I have the picture. Fuck. I didn't post it anywhere, and I don't. Oh wait, no, I can't pull up the picture because VTube Studio is on my phone. But yes, Jetmir has herpes. He doesn't like. It's not like Jetmir was getting his freak on, right? It's just like he got a cold or whatever, and it's like that's the technical name for it, right? Welcome in, everybody. But he does have the little cone right now. Hold on, I'm gonna have to. My model might freeze for a second. Give me 1 second, because I want to show you guys the picture. But the picture is on my phone. No, Jetmir did not get laid. He's just a baby. He's just a baby. Like, hold up. I'm sending them to David, so David's gonna get these with no context and be like, what the fuck is this? Hold on. I will show you in a second. I have to send them to David first. Here we go. Bonk. Bonk. How does a baby get herpes? I think it's like basically like if we have something like, well, okay, to be clear, I don't have herpes. But like, here it is. Let me open this and not dox myself. Hold on. And I will show you, because he is in the cone of shame right now. Because it's like, it was like on his eye or something like that. I don't know. Where's David? I need David to explain this, because but let me show you just real quick. Let me go back to just chatting real quick. Where was it? That's my ambience, my ambiance. Hold up. Make sure this doesn't have anything that doxes me. Okay. But there's Jetmir with the cone. He was so mad. He's doing okay, but he does have the little cone of shame. I skipped my nap for the Sims World. Oh, thank you. I'm glad you're enjoying the stream. And I'm glad you guys enjoy my info dumps too. I know sometimes I get a little all over the place, but and it'll be, I think it'll be easier once I'm like actually streaming and there's like context, I guess, to all this, you know? But I felt like I needed to give like a primer, you know what I mean? Right, he does have cool socks. He's wearing mittens all the time, right? But let's get into the Skyrim. Are we ready? Okay, so full disclaimer, there are some things that like before I tried to okay, in my old streams I did try to like de-horny the Skyrim. But because of where this save is, and because I started it, like, way before I thought I was gonna be streaming again, I can't take the dicks out. Like, I'm just being for real with you. If I take the dicks out, everything will break. So, there might be some penises occasionally. Hi, Lore! Thank you for the follow. Welcome in. But yes, there might be. Oh, I don't remember how to get up that thing at the top. That's gonna bother me. I'll figure it out later. Oh, that's my bald head. It's not that button. I'll figure it out later because I know there's a way to get rid of that. I just don't remember. Ow. Yeah. Okay. Just don't look at it. I haven't engaged with the Yaoi Yuri love side of me in a while. Yes, you should always listen. Yesterday was Yaoi day, right? Have a Yaoi-ful day and a Yuri-ful night. You know, that's my. The dicks make the world stable. Yeah, literally after the giant deal, keep things separate. Listen, I just don't want anyone to be like, wow, Off Choir looks like so much fun, and then they look at like Off Topic and they're like, wow, look at this gay porn eebee drew. Everyone look at Eebee's gay porn. Isn't it great? Look at their dicks swinging around. Oh my god, they're frothing. Wow. Does that make sense? But yeah, so I wasn't able to import everyone, okay? I don't have everyone imported yet. I had a lot of them imported, but Vanya broke a bunch of shit. Although I do think we have Freya, so we are in White Hearth Hall, right? Well, this experience better now. Oh. It took no time at all. I think, was it first year Off Choir that I was literally like writing, like, Laura, was it first year Off Choir that you were like, I need to get this thing done. Can you like sit and call with me? And I sat and call with you and you're like, yeah, I'm really sorry to like be taking up all your time. And I was like, nah, man, I'm just writing, I'm just writing Yuri, or I'm just drawing Yaoi. And that was the Yaoi I was drawing. It was these bitches. Oh, okay. Also, this character is not related, hold on. This character is not related to the Yaoi. He's actually related to something I write on Tumblr. And if you're wondering where my Tumblr porn blog is, you're welcome to try and find it. I'm not linking it. If you find it, congratulations. I'm not linking it. But he is something I wrote for my Tumblr porn blog that I just think he's really neat and he's really cute. So he has cat ears and a cat tail. So isn't he cute? They're supposed to match his hair color. I don't know why it's not doing that. Okay, but yeah, Freya is here.
You need something.
Hello, my lesbian. Okay, so we have Freya here. We have this guy here. Right, he's not important. He's just in an Empreg thing I wrote. Okay, it's not important, but he is cute. I don't know why he's fucking... That's broken, but that's okay. Oh. Okay. I think there were a few others I was able to import. I think Freya was the first one. Let me go upstairs. We'll see if I can import a few other of them. I may have to fix some things because Vanya was causing a lot of crash to deletes. Vanya almost broke this, so we're gonna save this. And okay, if you don't know about Proteus, right? Because I don't think I used Proteus on my other streams, but Proteus is a mod, right? Where you can basically import your other characters from other saves to be followers for you. You can do a lot with it, right? You can actually switch followers mid-save, but I noticed that if I like did multiple characters in like the same save, things got fucky-wucky really fast. And things can get really fucky-wucky like this too. So this is the way I'm kind of saying that if we do it like this, the save might be a ticking time bomb, but all my Skyrim saves are if we really think about it. So we're gonna see who we can get away with adding. We're gonna import, let's see. Oh, have I imported everyone? Maybe I did import everyone. Where is everybody? Wait, there was like the side room. Because these are all people that work at White Hearth. Okay, there's Alex. We have him. Okay, come with me. That's oof, that's Pookie. Okay, come with me. I made him a vampire because I couldn't figure out like how to give followers blood magic spells. So he is just a vampire destruction person. Freya's got the sword and shield. And Baron is our healer, but there should be more. Let me see. And there's our homeboy right there. There's Callan, my beautiful baby boy. My beautiful baby boy with several felonies. Let's see if we can do this. Summon existing character, maybe. Because like I said, I did have to like save and reload this a lot to make it work, and there were there was a moment where like 10 minutes before stream I wasn't sure if the game was gonna open, period. So let's see. Vonnie, we're probably not gonna be able to find. Where's Taliesin? Is Taliesin here? Hello!
What do you need?
Okay, he's here. His clothes are not what they're supposed to be, but that's okay. I don't know if we're gonna bring him on adventures. He has, everyone else I've given like skills and spells and shit. He has nothing. He is just, that's oomph, okay? He's just Pookie, okay? Like, he has no skills. Okay, let's get out of Whitehearth because this is gonna be, you can see my frame rate is already kind of in the shitter because there's so many NPCs. But that's okay. Let's see. But yeah, I'm not super familiar with Whitehearth. Hello, welcome to the first, it's like I never left. I'm not super familiar with Whitehearth, but I want, if I can do this right, I think what we're gonna have to do is we can't have all my OCs in one room. Like, that might be too much on my RAM and shit. But I do think we can at least carry around, because that was my idea with this, right? Is, you know how, like, in Dragon Age, when you play Dragon Age or when you play Baldur's Gate, you have, like, your whole party, but you can only pick, like, 4 people to come with you? That was my idea with doing things in Proteus, right? My idea with doing things in Proteus was every time I stream, which unfortunately I'm probably not going to be able to do weekly streams because of my voice. I'm probably going to be doing bi-weekly. And if I do more, I will, I'll post about them. But right now my goal is to do bi-weekly. What was I gonna say? Oh, yeah, and then basically just whoever I feel like yapping about, whoever I feel like info dumping about, that is who we will bring with us. You know, that was kind of my idea. But yeah, so like I said, I'm back. It's not gonna be the same as before, but it's gonna be really low key, but it will be. You know, it will be. So let's see if this loading screen ends. Okay. I'm thinking it might be easier. Oh! Oh. Oh, some things never change. Let's reboot the game. The game crashed. Got like 3 mods and 1 tool. You need to run it. It'll make Skyrim run way fast. Yeah, like I said, I have been playing this save while I was on break. I don't even know if we're gonna be able to like enter the museum, because the museum is at 980 displays right now. And my goal was this stream we could get to 1,000 and celebrate that together. But I don't know if it's gonna happen. So I think what we're gonna do is oh, hi Uncle. Hi Celia. Also, I know I wasn't reading names because I was really excited. So I apologize if I did not read your name. But I am really glad that you guys are all here. I got overwhelmed. But hello everybody. I'm so glad you're here. What was I gonna say? Fuck. I don't know. But yeah, so I'm probably gonna stream every 2 weeks. What that means is I might do edited stuff. I need to decide if these VODs are gonna go on the old channel or if they're gonna go on my author, like, Google account. I haven't decided yet. And oh, that was the other thing I was gonna say, is I also might do more IRL streams too, just because I know a lot of people that are in the reader space may not know a whole lot about VTubers. So I still want to VTube. I love VTubing. VTubing is my home. VTubing is how I started streaming. But I am gonna need to be a flesh person from time to time, I think. And I think doing the occasional Skyrim stream with my flesh suit might be a good way to acclimate into that. And I'm not even like that worried about it, to be honest, because like half of you have probably seen my face already, you know? Like it's not really a secret if you think about it, right? Like, you can go on my Twitter and there's my face, right? I'm not too worried about it. But yes, occasional flesh tuber experience as a treat, right? So I think what we'll do is we'll get the fuck out of Whitehearth, and then we'll see which followers we can summon. We'll see what's working. And there is a non-zero chance, by the way, that I need to just like take the L, right? Take the L and restart because Proteus is gonna fuck things up because I added it so late. I mean, I didn't add the mod late, but I've added all these characters so late. Unfortunately, there is no more Discord just because I just don't have time to maintain it. And I don't... Discord self-moderating has never worked in my experience. So unfortunately, we do not have a Discord. But as I mentioned earlier, if someone could do the Bluesky command, the best way to find out when I'm going to stream and also to keep up with my writing and stuff is going to be keeping track of the YouTube community posts and my Bluesky, which is, I think it's just eebee writes or something like that. I don't know. But if someone could type the command in, I think it's just ! Bluesky, I would appreciate it. I'm just afraid to alt-tab right now. To be honest. Thank you, Aqua. I appreciate it. But yeah, so... In terms of where I'm at with writing now, I've had my manuscript. I'm at the point where my mentor is like, don't look at it. I've had several beta readers read it. I've gotten a lot of good feedback so far. And going into draft 2, I feel like I know a lot of the things I'm going to change, but there's also some parts of it that are really, really overwhelming, to be honest. In terms of like, things I'm gonna have to overhaul, right? The big thing that I was looking for with feedback was, is it interesting? And most people have said that even though there are like parts that are confusing or parts that like don't make sense, they really like the characters, they really like the story, and that the characters have chemistry. Because it's like, what if I write all this yaoi and they have no chemistry? But people have said they had chemistry. My mom said they have chemistry, and my mom's not even like a Fujo or anything, so like, if she thinks it's good, then like normally I wouldn't be like, okay, that's my mom, but it's like, if she was willing to put herself through that, then it's gotta be like, all right, I guess, you know? All right, come on, loading screen, you can do it. Come on, you can see it's just loading animations. No. No, did it do it again? I think it's frozen. Wait, task manager. No. That's crazy. Oh, the comfy is claiming me. Yeah, absolutely. Have a good sleep. Thank you for stopping by. This is so fucked, actually. Okay, maybe we don't load that save. Oh, it's suspended. Okay, great. I showed you all my OCs in Skyrim. I showed you all my OCs, and now I'm gonna have to... This is so fucked. It's like Sky... I'm telling you! Some things never change. They really don't, you know? The shot that he finally went on his knee around a year ago. Huh? Who are you talking about? By he? Or knee? Whose knees? Oh, yeah. Okay, we did talk about that. We did talk about me getting married. I did get married. We went to a courthouse and we went to Chili's. It was awesome. And now I'm legally married and my insurance is cheaper. And we got a free upgrade when we went on a carnival cruise. It was awesome. Listen, okay, can I say something completely unrelated while we wait for Skyrim to come back? Right? Thank you. I don't get the people that talk shit. This is totally, like, random, by the way. How much is the difference in insurance? I was paying, like, I think $500 a month for insurance as a freelancer. And now, David pays, like, an extra, like, $80. And that's it. So I'm saving, like, $500 a month, unironically. But this is totally unrelated. I don't get why people shit talk Carnival cruises. Okay, I get that they're cheap. But, like, you can pry Carnival cruises out from my cold, dead hands. Okay, if I can spend $500 and get a week of, like, food and housing and, like, that covered for a vacation, and then I'm gonna do that. Okay, we went on like 3 Carnival cruises since I went on break. And we got a free upgrade to our room, and it was actually really cool. It was really nice. I didn't realize like cruise ship rooms could be that big, but they were really nice to us because we got married, and that was cool. Okay, let's see. Maybe we don't do the most recent one. I did quick save on accident, I think. So let's do this one. All right, everyone pray. Put your hands together and pray. Okay? That's progress? You trade your Disney mania for cruises? I'm gonna be so real. I don't want to get like too into it because I know all of us are overwhelmed all the time. Disney has kind of given me the ick lately. Like, I don't know, man. Like, I always knew they were an evil corporation, but they've been like extra evil lately. You know what I mean? And like, it's gotten to the point where they're so evil that I'm like, man. So now I just go on cruises. That has sated my appetite for that. Okay, no one. Okay, we're gonna go this way. Lately, listen, I was blinded. Okay, I was blinded. I was in the cult. Okay, but I'm out of the cult now, and I am no longer a Disney adult. I'm free. Okay, I'd like to go on a cruise in the next year. So absolutely, like, and if anyone gives you shit, like, I'm telling you, I honestly thought that the Carnival cruises, like like everyone talked about Disney for like their hospitality and shit, but I honestly thought that like Carnival cruises low-key had like the same level of hospitality as like the old Disney like shit did, you know? So I am unfortunately no longer a Disney adult, or fortunately, depending on your outlook on that. I mean, I still like it, you know, in the sense that like I like keeping up with like the theme park news and everything, right? I still like, you know, knowing about things, right? But I don't see myself going anytime soon. You know, also going to Florida, like, it's so expensive. Like, what is it, like $120 per day now or something like that? The rights to run their own nuclear power plant. So, like, I will say that, not to, like, autism out, as if that hasn't what I've been doing for the past 30 minutes. We're gonna sit. God fucking What did I do? It was so stable before today. It was stable on Friday when I did the test stream. You know what I did? I can tell you what I did, actually. And then you're probably all gonna look at me and you're gonna be like, why the fuck would you do that, eebee? But I've bricked my save over stupider things. In fact, one time I bricked my save because the mod pack that I was using didn't have built-in gay sex animations, and I tried to add gay sex animations without knowing how to do that, and it bricked my entire game, and I had a mental breakdown because I was so upset. But this is what I did. Okay, I'll tell you what I did before stream. But I was having a problem importing Vanya with Proteus, and it accidentally made like a copy of her preset, right? And that's why she was having like a problem being imported. So I thought that the right thing to do was to just delete the copy of the preset. Now it turns out that preset might have been the spaghetti holding everything together in this shit show, right? But I did put it back. I did go into the recycle bin and I brought it back and I put it back. But that might be the cause of our problems right now. And really what it could be, honestly, genuinely, is I just have to go back way back in my saves before I got to White Hearth at all, honestly. At the end of the day, I do still have the presets made, so what I might do, as much as I love this save, right, what I might do is I might have to, or it might be, David was saying too that it might be a better idea, instead of adding all my OCs at once, maybe add one every stream, right? I don't know, like, at the end of the day, Proteus as a whole is kind of a clusterfuck of a mod, right? But that might be what we do, is maybe we only add one every stream, and we can, we either say fuck it and we pare the whole save down now, which I will be honest, this is the furthest I've ever made it on a Skyrim save since I've started streaming on my own, right? We're at level 47, we've got almost 1,000 displays in the museum, like, it's going, okay? So I don't want to say goodbye to it, but I'm also like, I'm not opposed to it. You know what I mean? It would be a twink or a twonk to add today. So let's see. Where's my boy? Let's go way back. Because like I said, I can add these presets back in any time. It'll be slightly annoying, but let's do this actually. And let's see if this one's okay. Because this is before I got to White Hearth at all. Because that was my idea. Right, was have all my OCs in White Hearth, right? It's a big fuck-ass castle, right? And then we could just like go find them, but it might be trying to add them all at once was just too much. So we may not have too many. We may stick with the boys today. We may stick with Alex and Callan, which would be, you know, romantic. They, you know, that would be cute. They're meant to be together. So, you know, I do think it's funny that all of this is because of Vanya. Like, I like to think that it's like her haunting me for like not continuing on with her story and pivoting to the mafia elf yaoi. Like, she's pissed. Like, girl, you had your moment on this stream for so many years. You can take a break. You can take a break, okay? Let other OCs have their moment, girly pop. Let them have their moment. Let's see if this one works, though. And if it doesn't, then I don't know what we're gonna do. But I'm hopeful, okay? Because this is before I fucked with anything. Okay. Alright. Alright. How we feeling? Ooh, egg! Okay, the leaves glazed on these leafy eggs come from a briarheart plant, suggesting their origin in Skyrim's western reach. With covens of mixed Breton and Reachman ancestry, use the briarheart in a variety of rituals. That's cool. So, okay, and we have our cat boy. We will have our boyfriend and then our cat boy eye candy. Okay, does that sound good? Okay, we will, and maybe we'll do a poll actually on YouTube. We'll do a YouTube community poll for which OC to add next time. I think that could be cool, actually. Maybe that'll be the safest way to go about this, you know? Did I kill this woman? Because I have a quest to kill this woman, I think. Did I kill you? Hi! I missed! Okay, let me kill this woman real fast. I can't even remember. It was like a little, like, anniversary. Oh. Dude! Now she's all the way over there. That worked. Okay. Okay, she's gonna get naked. Just don't look. Okay, I have to take her shit, so, for the quest, so just don't. Okay, that's a boob. Don't. Okay. We're gonna save. But I think this might be it. Okay? But I do want to get Vanya in here, because her new design looks really pretty. Okay, so, let's talk about, actually, let's go to the museum. Let's do that, because that was, as you all know, my favorite mod by far is Legacy of the Dragonborn. And like I said, I've made a lot of progress on the museum on my own, so I want to show it to you guys. But yeah, I think maybe we'll do that. Or we could do it here. Do we want to do the poll on YouTube community, or do we want to do a poll now and we can decide and see if what we want to do? Although I don't know. There is still part of me that's like, just say goodbye to this save. Because like I said, this is the save I've been playing for like months now, since like January, I think. So it's got a lot going on, but I don't know, you know? I don't know. But in terms of goals for today, we'll go to the museum, we'll see where we're at. In terms of quests I've done in this save already, I think we just started Dark Brotherhood, and when I say just started, I mean like we just talked to Aventus Aretino, got the contract to kill Grella, that jam. We, what was the other thing? Oh, I have started the main quest. I did kill, I don't remember the name of the dragon, but the first dragon you kill with Delphi, right? I have killed that guy. And then I think I just did the thing for Maven Blackbriar, where you light up the beehives in Thieves Guild. But I haven't completed any major quests. I've been doing mostly a lot of like side quests and running around, right? I've been doing a lot of like Daedric stuff, just because I like seeing the museum fill up. I know a lot of people don't like the museum, but I really like it. If you don't know what I'm talking about, where we are at right now, or where we will hopefully load into, so help me God, is the Dragonborn Gallery, right? Which is a mod, is a museum added by the mod Legacy of the Dragonborn. I like it a lot. There's, you know, some issues with it. I know that the mod, and we talked about that on Friday a little bit, but the mod pack that I currently use is going to be taking it out soon, so I might just like live on the old revision of the mod pack if I continue to use that one. I do want to try immersive, the new version of immersive and epic, just because I love Burke. He's my friend, he's my homie. But I also, like, I'm not sure if there's a lot for male characters in that, so I need to take a look, because I am playing a lot more male characters than female characters these days. So, as you can see, and I feel like we should save. I just feel in my heart we should save. So, as you can see, 982 displays, okay? I've been cooking, right? I have been working, okay? Now, a lot of this is still empty, but we're making progress. I think I have, the Hall of Natural Science mostly done. But yeah, I think this is the most progress we've ever really made. So let me see if I have any displays. Let's take that. And then we can see if we have any replicas to make too. But what it's doing right now is it's going through my inventory basically and sorting anything that can be displayed to add up there. So there's a few little things over here based off like places I've been. Hello.
I do hope you're having a fine day.
What? Is she like... Why is she doing like the stanky leg? Do you have a home-cooked meal, please?
Are you kidding? Of course, I always have something ready.
Go, white girl, go!
See you soon.
Who are you?
My duty is to guard Brina Meredith.
Well, I don't know who that is. Are you Brina?
I wasn't born in Skyrim.
I guess
But
so.
when I served in the Legion, this land became my
She's
home.
doing the stanky leg!
Mind your step.
Phrasing, what did I say? Did I say something bad? Probably. I don't know anymore. Everything, it's all a blur. But yeah, that was one of the things I was thinking about though. I know I say it's all a blur, but jokingly, I started streaming in like August of 2020, I think. And realizing that it's been like 6 years is like kind of insane to think about. Like I think my affiliate, I got the little thing when I did my test stream that's like, oh, your affiliate anniversary, and I'm like, holy shit, you know? Like I don't know. It's been, and I know that my streams have changed a lot over the years, but I feel like low-key, this is a really bad comparison, and you guys are gonna hate it, but it feels accurate. It feels like streaming is like League of Legends to me. Every time I say I'm gonna stop, I never do. Like, it's like the mob, right? Just when I think I'm out, it pulls me back in, you know? Maybe that's a better comparison. I'm still walking around. I don't know if you can, like, actually, go into other rooms in the museum when you're, That was a really funny typo, Alpha. That was funny. That's, oh my god, that was funny. I don't want to chance it, right? So I don't know how many displays we have. I want to get up Mr. Bones Wild Ride. Same. He's so pretty. I think his makeup got a little bit fucked up. Or it might be just the light, but his hair looks darker. I know I got fucked up. I know I tried to... Okay, something you can do with Proteus, too. Is you can load other characters' appearances onto your character. And I fucked up. And I thought that I was loading Vanya into the game at one point. But instead what I was doing was I was loading her appearance onto Callan. And Vanya's like 5 feet tall and an Imperial, and Callan is a high elf. So it looked very, very goofy.
Greetings.
Do you have anything for me? No, it doesn't look like that. Oh, I finished the Ebony Plate stuff. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, it's still sorting on my displays. Oh my god. Okay, 12 new displays. We need 6, and then we will be at 1,000. So let's see. We're gonna store all my supplies as well. And we might be able to make some replicas. I know we have a few paintings we can definitely give. Sorting items. Usually the supply sorting doesn't take as long though. Let's see. Well, let me do the paintings while I'm doing that. Or do I not have any paintings? Okay, yeah, I removed a painting for me. Okay, cool. And the supply sorting is done. So let's see if we have any replicas we can make first. Okay, Horn of Jerk-Off Wing Collar. Yes, we will do that. Do we have any archaeology things we can do? Let's see. Doesn't look like it. No. Okay. Yeah, because my fossil storage is... Okay, yeah. So we'll do this. Drop off the horn. And then I think we should be good. Did I miss it? No, that's something I stole. Okay. And I think that's the only... We'll do these two. And maybe it'll auto sort them. Sometimes stuff doesn't auto sort, so you gotta put it in the chest, but I think that should be good. And then let's go into the safe house. Hell yeah, get it, brother. He's so happy. Look at him go. I still don't know why his cat ears and tail are fucking up, but it's fine. Wait, what? Asterion? From Baldur's Gate? Wait, who is that? That's not Asterion! That's just a high elf! Get out of here! Fuck off! That's crazy. Why would they steal him? Can I tell you guys something? I never finished Baldur's Gate 3. I know I started playing it on stream, and you would think I had 2 years to like actually finish it off stream. Like I've clearly been playing Skyrim off stream. My ass never finished Baldur's Gate 3. And it's probably not going to. Oh, I did want to ask you guys though. I know I used to play Cyberpunk on here, and I might play oh, Bessie can handle it. I might play we may from time to time do some Cyberpunk stuff on here. Would you guys be interested in that perhaps? Because I have a playthrough going with Callan right now in Cyberpunk, and since he's kind of the man of the hour, the baby girl scrumbly scrumbo blorbo warbo of the hour, maybe we come back to that. One of the drawings I did of him that I showed you in the PowerPoint I made actually was a redraw of a Cyberpunk screenshot. My cheese collection! Wait! Do you guys want to see my cheese collection? My cheese. Hold on, this is all the cheese that needs to go into the cheese collection still. Oh my god. 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 Wait. Okay, I thought that was a cheese that had fallen. Wait, let me... Behold. Look at all my cheese. Ah! Look at all my cheese. Oh, there's so... Oh, wait, what? How'd I get there? There's so much cheese. Look at all my cheese. I don't know why this makes me so happy. Okay, let me add the new cheese there, because there is more cheese that we just picked up. So we have the cheesecake, cheese bread. You'll notice all these say stolen. Yes, I am going into people's houses and stealing their cheese for my own sick pleasures. Yes. But let's put all the new cheese in here, and then it'll reset. Yeah, you can see all the cheeses are going away, but when I come back, it'll reset. Did I take food for myself? Let me take some actual food for me. That was an extra one we had, so that we can take. Home cooked meal we'll take. Yeah, that should be fine. Like a lactose intolerant dragon. That's what I'm doing. But look at my fucking freezer. We are stocked. So eventually I do want to bring things to White Hearth and stuff. It's just gonna be a lot to move all my materials and stuff. So I still want to keep the safe house as like a temporary thing. So let me see. Is his tail and ears fixed? No, I don't know. It's okay. Wait, do I have any money from the sell pile? No. Okay. I haven't been using the sale pile a whole lot just because I know you make less money. This is my baby dragon. His name is Bean. I forgot to show you guys that. Isn't he cute? And when you change what kind of magic he uses, he explodes. Watch this. I want to change what kind of magic you use. Instead, use frost magic. Isn't that great? Oh my god. Isn't he cute? I love him. Okay, let's close this door because I do still have the thing where I don't know how to disable the thing where when people like get into bathtubs they just get naked. So we're just gonna disable that for now. How's my... Where's the... Oh, I think it's the horn now. That's right. How's my treasury doing? Yeah, it could be more. So let's see how much money I have. We'll put the stolen gold in here. And... I'll keep that money. I also would like to say, while I was doing my Skyrim on my own, I think I have half of the stones of I don't remember how to say it, but I have half of them. So there's a non-zero chance that if this save lives, I will actually finish and get that fucking crown. So don't get your hopes up. But it could happen. Okay, it could happen. Okay, I have a bunch of these things. Yeah, look at them. Look at that. That's crazy. I've never done that before. Okay, I don't think I have a fake card dex, but yeah, I don't bring Bean with me, but he is really cute. Let me see. I think here this is just like the study. Oh, you okay?
What can I do for you, friend?
You're fine.
All right then.
All right then. Did you ever see the Skyrim badly translated? I have not actually. Actually, I might have if it was. Did that come out like a few years ago? That I might have seen, but if there was a new one, I haven't seen it. What are you doing? What are you staring at? Are you good? Are links banned? Oh no, I guess links are banned. Oh shit. Send it to, I think a mod can post it. Send it to a mod and they should be able to post it if Jingle and Aqua are in chat. I don't know if they are though. But yeah, okay, let's figure out what we want to do. Now that we know, now that things are somewhat stable, do we want to try bringing a new friend in? Do we want to try bringing an OC in? Or are we going to play it safe for today? What are we thinking? Because we could take the risk. Or we could not do that. Like, it has crashed like 3 times today, but I'm open for whatever. Oh my god. Hold up. Oh my god, I drank water too fast. I just muted my mic so you wouldn't hear me like choke and burp on it. Jingle, thank you so much for the sub. I appreciate you. Although some of you might want to hear me choke and burp, so I don't know. Let's see. But thank you, Jingle. Well, fuck it, we bought. Can I bring in my emotional support, old man? Let me save. I would like to bring in Velethil Nurixie, because he's really hot. Oh, that's the wrong button. I told you guys he was hot, and I don't want to, like, I don't want to be, like, a fraud, you know? Where's my thing? Also, I am using my iPhone for VTuber tracking, so it is blocking part of my screen. Let me actually recalibrate this. Hold up. Because I think I moved it where now I can see it. Let's see if it'll bring him in. We're gonna try it, and if it breaks, it breaks. That's okay. Alright, let's see. Player. Summon existing character. Although maybe I haven't. Oh wait, no, if I've done this. Oh. Let's see if this works. Okay, all of their outfits are gone. Yeah, okay, his entire fit is gone. But that's okay. We can fix that. Can I recruit him? Okay, maybe not. Let me do this. NPC. Let's see. Send. Reset. Okay, let's try this. Because I know there were some times where I tried to import people and it was weird about it. So let's try just doing it again. Import character. Let's see if he shows up. Here we go. Let's see. Your game does freeze for a little bit. That's normal. Okay.
Good to see you again, friend.
Ah! It worked!
Lead the way.
Yes! My emotional support old man is here! My emotional support terrorist is here! Yippee! He shouldn't have that voice, though. I feel like he should have the obnoxious high elf voice, actually, now that I think about it. So let's change. This is kind of an ad for Proteus, but it's also kind of not because I've said how he fucks up so much shit. But let's give him... Let me see. But I do love this mod. I really do. As someone who is obsessed with all of her OCs, it really... Okay, where is it? Male... Elf. This one, I think, was the one I used before? Yeah, I think it's this one. Let's see.
Yes?
Perfect!
All right, then.
He sounds like he's gonna be mean to me. Perfect. I don't know. I think he's really hot. I might be weird for that. because he is very visibly old, and he does a lot of really bad things. Well, he does, okay, let's be so real, as we're talking about romance novels. He does bad things, like, I don't know. Like, I'm not gonna judge anyone for what they read, but like, excuse me? Oh shit. You bring up dark romance one time. Oh my god. Hi. Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh god. Well, I guess the lesson to be had here is to never give my opinion on anything ever, or else a dragon will show up. Okay, come on. Oh, that's another one? Yeah, just don't attack me. Just don't attack me. Come on. Where'd he go? Yeah, that's the voice type I wanted. There we go. Okay. Where'd he go? I hear him. Where'd he go? Wait, the music's fading out. I don't think he's dead. Why is the music fading out? Okay, there we go. I was he's not dead yet. Okay. Where'd he go? Come on. Come on. I want a dragon soul. Give me the dragon soul. Let me see. How do you feel about pineapple pizza? Everyone just say your most controversial opinions right now. That's a risky thing for a streamer to say. Jesus Christ. Okay. Okay. Oh, okay. There he is. There he is. Okay, come on. Let's all pray that I don't accidentally shoot a guard. Let's all pray that I don't shoot any civilians. Okay? Almost there. God, I love playing an archer. I love not thinking. This is awesome. Okay. All right, there we go. I'm playing my manifesto. Oh, okay, give me the good arrows. I don't want... There we go. I don't know what happened. You tell me. Use your fucking head. Okay. Another dragon soul. Pineapple pizza is great. I love pineapple pizza, actually. I will say that. I do very much enjoy pineapple pizza. Alright, we are gonna save, because I'm not... I'm not doing that again. I honestly... I know that there are some people who like pineapple pizza, but only when it's also with ham on it. I could just like raw dog pineapple only on pizza, if I'm being honest. Where did you get that? Oh, okay, that's... For some reason, I thought this was just a really long staff with a fucking sword, like, taped to it. Like, I thought this was one weapon. Why does it... Yeah, if it was bad, why would they sell it? True. Okay, you...
Yes?
Okay, I do have him as my follower. That...
Good.
The clipping is... Okay. Interesting. Okay. So now that we have that sorted with, and now that our inventory, well, it was cleared out, and then I got all the dragon bones, but I'm too lazy to go back. Let's see what we want to do today. I know what we're gonna do today. So there's, it didn't give me an option to talk to Arian about research when I talked to him earlier, so I don't know. Let's see. Find a way. So we have a lot of quests. Like I said, I've been doing a lot of miscellaneous shit. Do we want to kill the old lady? Do we want to kill Grelod? We can do that. I think that'd be good for our first... I don't think we've ever, like, fully done Dark Brotherhood on stream. Like, ever. Period. Hold on. Do we want to kill an old lady? Let's kill an old lady. Where is she? Let me see. Where is... It's in Riften, right? Yeah, Riften. Okay, let's go there. And let's murder a woman. Yay! I'm also really excited that, or really glad that, okay, this is a safe space, right? Okay, I didn't realize that I had the mod that turns your screenshots into loading screens. So there may or may not be a loading screen that pops up that is just someone straight up getting their dick sucked. Just gonna warn you about that. Okay, that might happen. Right now it's normal, but it may not be normal later. And I will try to make sure I censor it in time. Deadass though, at one point, I thought the cum animation was really funny. like the way that like I have it set up, because I think I have, what mod is it? Do we want to look at the name of the mod? Because let's be honest, looking at the names of the mods is always the fun. What is it? Is it Ocum? Ocum Ascended! Oh! But I had it set up so that if you suck a dick and to completion, there's like jizz that like stays on your face. And I took a screenshot of Callum with jizz on his face because I thought it was funny, and I didn't think too much about it. And then I was just playing like 6 hours later, and then that like just picture of him staring into the camera with jizz on his face was just staring back at me, and I was like, damn, that's crazy. All right, anyway, let's kill a woman. No one sees me, right? Yeah, you don't see me. I'm just that guy. I'm just that dude. Okay. Let's go in. Let's go in. Yeah, I think this is also the first time in a while we've had a Dragonborn save.
We'll get an extra beating.
Extra beating? That's not nice.
Yes, Skrellet. And one more thing.
Yoink! Wait, no one saw me.
Mercy!
Damn, guys, that was crazy. How'd that happen? Oh, yo, give me your books. I don't think I've ever actually stuck around. I've never had high enough sneak to just do that and not get caught. That's awesome.
Hurrah, hurrah!
You guys should start Fortnite dancing. Yo, it almost looked like he was for a second. We love you, Dark Brotherhood. Oh my god.
I submit.
This ain't about me. I didn't do that. That wasn't me. No one saw me. I'm just the health inspector. Okay, I'm just looking because sometimes in like these important locations, there's other like shit, like other display items, right? We already have the sliced cheesecake, I think, so that we should be good on. I shouldn't laugh. Wait, girl, what is running? He's just making soup. He doesn't give a fuck. This shouldn't be as funny as it is. Ooh, wait, no, that's not. I thought that was a special cheese for a second. Okay. Yeah, I think I've gotten everything I can that's a display. All right. Bye. So now when we sleep, there will be a hot woman to greet us. So I think we should go to bed immediately. Although, actually, do I have any quests to do here? I think I do actually have to... Wait, there's a stone of Bababinga that I haven't found yet? Oh, and I have to give shit to people in the Thieves Guild. Okay, well, hold on. Where's the stone of the stone of Baranzaya? Where is that? Isn't it Blackbriar? That would make sense. It says it's over here. So I do want to find that. And if it's the middle of the day, it'll be easier to rob people. It's probably in here, isn't it? In the Temple of Mara? That would make sense. Where am I? No, it's somewhere else. Okay. I'm not gonna deal with that right now. Let's go to the Thieves Guild and drop those off, and then we will talk to the hot lady. Because it is only 11 a.m. in game time. I don't think... Wait, did I need to do something with Grelka? That name sounds familiar. I feel like I had to talk to her.
You gonna buy something?
That's right, I had the RDO quest for her.
Otherwise, hey, I told you not to ask any
Yo!
questions.
Oh,
here's your reward.
they're running so
as
fast.
promised.
Holy shit. Alright, thank you. Skilled Armor of the Traveler. I microwaved my pizza rolls too long. I'm so sorry. Have you ever like microwaved like a pizza roll or a Hot Pocket too long and then too long? Oh my god, I can't speak today. And then it like you bite into it as it's if you've like inhaled the lava of Mount Vesuvius. That's the worst, man. Alright, where's the fucking Thieves Guild? I can't remember. I'm so stupid. We're gonna do this. But welcome in, everybody! Hello! But yeah, I'm probably not gonna stream next Sunday, but I'm hoping I can stream the Sunday after that. That is my goal, is I can't do it every week, because the last thing I want to do is get vocal damage again. But I figured, you know, I figured it was one of those things where I was like, I figured streaming like bi-weekly would be better than not streaming at all, you know? Yeah, so Suna, thank you so much for the hydrate. Okay, let's see. Are you? That's Rune. Let me see. Were you the person I had to talk to?
Don't you have better things to do than disturb me?
Apparently not. Fuck you, I guess. Okay. No, it was in the Ragged Flagon, I
Everything
think.
you asked for already. Of course you can buy me.
Yeah, it was in the Ragged Flagon. Okay, how do I get there again? I haven't done any Thieves Guild shit in forever, full disclosure. It will be a treat. Yeah, it'll be a no treat. And like I said, right, my writing is my main thing. So I do post on Bluesky, like, snippets from, like, my draft and stuff. I do post there about every day or every other day at minimum. But that'll be the best place to, like, find me and stuff and see what I'm doing and all that jazz. And if I do any other streams, because ultimately I might just be bored and I might be like, I want to stream. I will announce those on Bluesky as well. So let's see.
What do you think, my dear?
There we go. Oh.
Beautiful woman like you. Ever see yourself with an old codger like me?
Huh?
Absolutely.
Oh, really? Well then, how can we make that happen?
Your grave, and I'm standing over it. Now get out of my way.
I don't know where she is, but like, damn, she ratioed it.
Brynjolf, eh? Let me guess. He just plucked you off the street and dropped you into the thick of things without telling you which way is up. Am I right?
I mean, he's hot, so I didn't like pay attention. I know what I'm doing.
Lying to my face isn't gonna win you any favors with me. I can promise you that.
Okay.
On the other hand, taking
Don't I
somebody's
have a job
see,
from him?
That so, if you've got to look
I
around,
could have sworn
a few
I
decades
did.
ago,
Hold up.
Look, something out there is piss drunk mad at
Although
us.
maybe it might be
I
something
dunno.
else I took a job
I'll tell
with.
you what we do. That's where you come in. I've got
Sorry,
plenty
I'm
of
gonna
work
skip through this because I
available. All you
feel
need
like I
to do
have
is
something
ask,
from
and we
him.
can both come out of this.
Oh, it was
smelling
just
like a
learn more
rose.
about it. Okay, and then do I have?
Oh, you're back? You think you're
I
finished?
think
Need something?
I could have sworn I got a job from someone over here. Hold up. Unless I'm stupid and I didn't. Recover stones. What is this? To Delvin. Isn't that Delvin? Did I just talk to you? Where'd he go? Not cool. I could have sworn that was. I have a quest. Why are you bald? I shouldn't just ask someone why they're bald. That's not very polite. Okay, you guys are having a good time. I don't know what the fuck's going on. They're fine. Where'd he go? He might have gone into the other thing, but I could have sworn that was who I just talked to was Delvin. But I don't know. All right, let's try going back in here, I guess. But ultimately, if the quest is Bork, then we'll figure something out. Alright, let's see. Hello? I stole some things. Does anyone want them?
Wanted to say something.
No, I have to... Where is
What are
he?
you doing that for?
Guess he's gone. Did I mog him to death? Did my aura just... That's oomphs. Okay. Yeah, I don't know where the fuck he went. I could have sworn that was who we were talking to, but what do I know? Let's see. Maybe he went to bed or something. I'm just gonna skim this real quick, and if he's not here, then he's not here. You know, and I'm not gonna worry too hard about it.
Be careful.
Delvin,
Should
yeah.
have quite a good bit of jobs available.
Oh, here we go. Okay, can I
if you
sell
give us
this
some
Queen
extra
Bee
coin.
statue to you?
Well, I was looking for this little beauty.
Yay!
If you happen across any other unusual trinkets like this,
I like that the
be sure
Thieves
to
Guild
bring it
armor
to me.
reskins gives them
I
all
promise
corsets.
it'll be worth the effort.
Like if
There
you're in
you
the
go.
Thieves Guild, you
This
have
should
to have a
cover it.
snatched waist or you're going to not make it. Okay, yeah, Hunting Broody Canter.
Well, I was looking for this little
Okay, so I
beauty.
guess this is just random
If you
shit I
happen
picked up.
across any other
Because like I
unusual
said, I've been playing
trinkets
this
like
off, like,
Be sure to bring
I've been
it to
playing this
me.
for a while, but I haven't been very
Promise it'll
consistent
be
with it,
worth
so
the
I've started a lot of quests and I
Or we
don't
can
know
find
what
this
the fuck has
payment to
gone
be
on with
more
them.
than fair.
Okay, do I have anything else to give him? No, I think that's
Can I
it.
give you a little tip? Take every job you can get, or else you'll end up
I don't know why I just stared at his ass, I'm sorry. Okay, do I have anything else to do down here though? I don't think I do. I think that's it. Yeah, I do need to talk to Maven Blackbriar. That I don't know if I'm looking forward to, but I will be brave. I will be very brave, and it'll be fine. Okay, let's go up the other way, and let's actually we'll do that too. We'll talk to Maven Blackbriar, And then we'll get a room here for the night. And then the hot lady will kidnap us. And it'll be awesome. Okay? Alright, let's see. Oh, wait. Can I steal some... Yay. That's mine now. Okay. Yeah, so I guess I just can't import all my OCs at once. So I think that's what we're gonna do. Because so far it's been pretty stable. So maybe White Hearth was not the mood. Which sucks because I grinded off stream 60,000 gold for it. But maybe later, right? Okay. So let's see, where is Maven Blackbriar? I think she's in the inn, actually. Let's see. Zoom. The Ratway. I don't feel like dealing with that right now. The bee in the bar. Yeah, she is there. Okay. Hi, kitty. Hello. He's so cute. Okay. Let's see. Here we go. Another kitty. Do you have herpes? My cat has herpes. Poor Jetmere. I shouldn't laugh. I shouldn't laugh. Oh, that's me. That's me if you care. Let's see. Maven, where are you? Maven. She's upstairs usually, if I recall correctly. Hey, let's take a seat. Hi, Oomph.
I trust you have good news.
That's
for
Oomph.
me.
That's Oomphy. Job's finished.
This doesn't tell me much. The only thing that could identify Sabio's
She would hate
partners is
Callan's
on
ass.
your
Oh my god,
symbol.
he's so annoying. Yeah, I've seen that symbol before.
Well, whoever this mysterious marking represents, they'll regret starting a war with me.
Oh.
You should bring this information to the Thieves Guild immediately. There's
Okay.
also the matter of your payment.
Yeah.
I believe you'll find this more than adequate for your services.
Awesome. Iron sword. I should have you killed. I should kill you, actually. I did all that, and you're giving me an iron sword?
Out
Okay.
of my way.
Yeah, you and your botched Botox lips can suck my dick. Actually, get out of here. Fuck out of here. Iron sword. Oh, it's enchanted. Suck my dick and balls. That's crazy. What does she think she is? Well, she's Maven Blackbriar, but still. Okay. Let's see. So that's done on my to-do list. Return to Brynjolf. I'll do that later. What is this? The Stone of Babangabanga. Where is this? Mistvale Keep? Okay. What is that? Because I do want to get as many stones as I can. And getting them kind of like as I go places is easier than like... I don't know. Does that make sense? Mistvale Keep. Where is that? Let's see. I'm not really good with directions, as most of you know. That's the smithy. That's the... Don't tell me this... It could just be the quest markers fucking up, actually. Yeah, so it's down here? Might be underneath. Because I think Mistvale Keep... Isn't that a house? Like, doesn't someone live there? I don't know. So that's... Yeah, the Ratway. And the Skeever Cage, I think that's for pets in Skyrim. So that I'm not super worried about right now, to be honest. And this kind of business being cheap is dangerous. That's what I'm saying. I think I should kill her. Yeah, okay. Well, I'm lost, so we're just gonna do a sleepy sleep, have the hot lady tie me up, and then call it a day. You know? We're gonna... We're not end stream, but we're gonna call it a day today. So let's go back in here. Because once... Actually, is it 24 hours? Or is it immediately? Because we killed him... Well, no, we would...
Pull up a seat.
I don't know. Let's see what happens.
Sure thing. It's yours for a day.
Okay, nap time. Let's see. A sound plan of action. Exactly. You're a cunt. Sorry. I'm just so baffled by that. That was so fucked up. Okay? That was fucked. Oh, sorry. Didn't mean to knock that over. Okay. Owned. Which bed is mine? Is it this one? There we go. Alright, let's see. No? Okay, maybe more time needs to pass then. Where is there... I'm gonna Google it, because I'm actually not sure if there's a Stone of Babingabanga here. Let me see. Stone of Baranzaya. Riften. Stone of Bazinga. Mistveil Keep and another at Blackbriar Lodge. Where is Mistveil Keep? I think I got the Blackbriar one. Where the fuck is Mistveil Keep? Am I stupid? Riften. What is it? Oh, oh, it's the Jarl's Castle. Okay, that makes significantly more sense. Okay, let me see. So, hi. He looks so angry. I love him. Fuck off. Okay. Everyone is yelling at me. Why is everyone yelling at me? Make them stop. Okay. The little cat ears poking out from his hood. There's still, the color is still fucked up, and I don't know why, but that's okay. All right, let's see. Right, castle. Moon Critter, thank you so much for the follow. Oh, Pandora! Thank you so much for the raid. Welcome in. Hello. I'm gonna go rob someone and then get tied up by a hot lady. It's gonna be awesome. Welcome in. Hello. If you are new in town, hi. My name. Oh, let me get the. I have to do the thing. Shout out. I mean, what if I spelled your name wrong? Would that be fucked up or what? Okay. My name is eebee. I am a author and, well, not author, more of a writer. I'm working on getting published. I don't think I can call myself an author yet. But I also stream, sometimes as a VTuber, sometimes not as a VTuber. And I play Skyrim with my OCs that I really like to yap about. But if you would like to hang out and watch me play Skyrim and get tied up by a hot lady, feel free. If you would like to skedaddle, that is okay too. But if you would like to keep up with my writing and when I will stream, I will be posting all that on Bluesky. But yeah, how was your stream? What'd you play? Power. Oh, I saw that. I found it. Sorry, I've been looking for this fuck-ass building, and I don't know how I couldn't find it when it's right there. But how's Power World? Can you fuck them yet? Sorry, that's a weird thing to say. But isn't that a thing? Or was that a joke? Didn't they have like a whole thing about how you can like fuck them now? I mean, kind of. Or can you like make them like wait, they had that in Pokemon, right? The Pokemon breeding? That was a thing. I don't remember. Okay, I need to rob this man. Me and Jingo have been obsessing over Power World. Me and David played it a lot when it first came out, but I haven't played it since. But I heard it was a pretty big update. Let me see. I think I do need to eventually do all the thing quests, so I am going to do this. There's a way to open them to human affection.
Well for you.
Somehow that sounds hornier than just they fuck. Like, open to human affection. That sounds horny as hell. Like, I love that though. Ton of lover labs Monfort. I believe it. What's your stance on the war?
Well, I feel
I'm just coming in asking her the most intense political question ever.
The Rift. How can they continue to lead their already meager lives with dark clouds looming overhead?
What?
My heart goes out to them. If only our coffers were deeper, I could protect them as they were my own.
Her stance on the war. That's a controversial question in Skyrim. I just pulled up and was like, hi, I've never met you and I'm about to rob you, but can I have your opinion? Oh, does she have special cheese? Ooh, cheese. Okay, we have to see. Oh, fish. Mine. Okay, there should be a stone of Bazinga in here too, right? But I want to see if there's anything else too. Let me see. Yeah, listen, I am trying to collect all the cheeses of Skyrim, okay? And listen, some of them are hard to get, okay? So I have to resort to unethical means. And, you know, wait, it's fine, okay? It's fine. They're not gonna miss it. She's got like a gazillion bajillion dollars. She's the Jarl, okay? It's huge sack for it, not your stuff. The Portland cheese hoard earlier. Yeah, well, maybe we'll go back and we'll see my cheese hoard. There might still be time. Let's see. No stone of Babingabonga here. Let's see. The barracks, maybe? I don't think it'd be in the barracks. Usually the Jarl's palaces have like an upstairs or like a room for like their wizard, like their court wizard. Here we go. Who are you?
Aren't you the curious one? Stand there for a second and look charming. I want a good look at you.
Hey.
I've heard about you. Running
Thank you,
around,
Zasuna.
sticking your nose in things that may
Yeah, as
or
long as
may
it's nothing
not
like
concern
freaky or
you.
potentially controversial out of context. Because I know someone posted in the off-choir server about how he was talking about abortion for M-prank, and I was like, maybe we don't put that there without context. That was the one thing where I was like, someone's gonna get my ass for that. Who? Me? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If we can have M-preg, we can have M-abortion. Like, let my man live. But anyway, back to this hot lady. Hello, as my boyfriend stares at me. Oh, he's judging me. Who, me? What about you? Seem to be a little more discreet.
Indeed. After my last job for Maven,
Wait, you work for
someone
Maven?
has taken a notice of me.
That cheap bitch.
The fact that I find all
Did all that work and she only gave me an iron sword? I'm still pissed about that. Well, I know who you are. Who else is looking for you?
I'm not sure, but if that's who
He's
I think
so
it is,
giving me the
I don't
bombastic
want to
side
be the one
eye.
who comes looking for me. You seem to be on the move these days. Looking for an assistant, perhaps.
I already have 3 followers. Maybe later, but...
Oh, that's too bad. Wouldn't it have been nice to have the gratitude of a beautiful Dunmer?
Wait, did her hair just deflate? Wait, am I crazy or did her hairstyle just change? I said no and it like took the wind out of her hair? Damn. It's one of those things where it's like some follower mods I do like, but we also have so many followers already. Ooh, what's this? Gimme. Okay, it's still not the Stone of Bazinga, but...
Did we have an appointment? No.
L'Oreal shampoo.
Glad you figured for
Yeah,
a
I guess
mage.
her hairspray just went down.
think you'll
I don't know.
appreciate this.
All right, let me see. I'm looking at books we can put in the museum. Anything here? Yeah, if it has a little blue check, if it has a green check mark by it, it's already in my museum collection. But if it doesn't, or if it has the plus sign, then it's not. Okay, just the one.
Okay.
What are you doing?
Now, where did I put those spiders?
Okay. Let's see. I still don't see the Stone of Baranzaya. Barandamingaba. It's not back here.
Be careful.
Yeah, I am. Maybe it is in the barracks somewhere. Although I don't think I've found the Jarl's quarters yet, too. Sometimes it's there, too. So, that's the court wizard place. Let's see. I don't think we went upstairs. Here we go, Jarl's chambers. It's probably in here. It's probably in here. Okay, let me see. Aha! The Stone of Bazinga. Okay, let's see if there's anything else in here I can steal. That's for the museum. Apple pepper cheese! Don't mind if I do. Anything else? No. Okay, perfect. Alright, that's all I wanted. I wanted the stone just to get it out of the way. I think I think I already got the one in the Blackbriar house thing, but I'll double check when we get out of here. Let's see. Okay. Alright, this is a weird... Oh, we are all so close to each other. Hello. This is a weird balcony. Like, there's not a lot of room here. Okay, let me see. Okay, we got... That's out there. Okay, it looks like there's one out here. But that also just takes me to Skyrim, so I think we're good for Riften then. Okay. In that case, let's see. I think time does need to pass before Astrid comes and kidnaps us. So in that case... What's this? Follow a ghost. We'll return to Brynjolf later. Ah, there's one over here. Okay. Why don't we... And this is the leader of the Dawn Guard. Why don't we do... There's also one over here, too. I'm wondering... I really just want... Here, we'll do this. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna... Can I... No. Wait, here we go. Whee! Oh, fuck. It's fine. I think what I'm gonna do, because I'm lazy... And I don't want to stream for too much longer because my voice is starting to get a little crusty. But I do want to get kidnapped. Let's do this. And then let's... Oh, that's so pretty, actually. Oh my god. And let's do this. And let's go eepee. And then hopefully the hot lady will kidnap us. That is the one thing I want to do. Okay. Thank you for the hydrate. My cup like clicked on my teeth. Ow. And thank you for that posture check. Stitch. Okay. Let me see. I think I've done all my stealing in here. Did you be a character in a Skyrim? Yes, I did. So if you get the voice overhaul, it was voices for sensual hag ravens. I played oh my god, I don't remember her name off the top of my head, but I played one of the hag ravens, and it makes her voice instead of being all gravelly, it makes her voice really cutesy. I don't remember her name off the top of my head, but if it's like voices for sensual hag ravens, I was in that. Alright, let's see. Kidnap me. 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 What? Why isn't it going? Hold on. To Google we go. Dark Brotherhood. Astrid. Not kidnapping me. When will she kidnap me? Innocence lost by God of the cloud. Received. Oh, I haven't received the we know. Okay. So I have to get the we know thing. Fast travel. Wait 24 hours. Okay. Let's see. So we'll head out outside. Yeah, what's a guy gotta do around here to get kidnapped? So let's head outside, see if we can find a courier. I think we do just gotta keep going as business is planned, I guess. I didn't mean to do that. And then we'll see what happens. But how do I get out of here? There we go. Like I said, I'm directionally challenged. Alright, I don't feel like going back to Brynjolf right now. So we'll probably skedaddle from Riften for now. Yeah, and we'll see. Let's wait a little longer. We're gonna do the full 24 hours because I really want to get to her. I really want to get to her before we end stream. Is there a courier? Hello? I mean, I know they're not gonna just appear out of nowhere. Oh, here, I can drop some stuff off actually for the museum. Let's see. This can go. This can go. This can go. This can go. Let's see, what else have I picked up? This can go, this can go. I missed you, thank you. I'm glad to be here. I missed you guys too. Dead ass, I'd been so busy, I hadn't, like, opened Skyrim at all or played Skyrim at all for, like, a year. Or, like, maybe a year and a half, actually. And then I started playing it again. I've been trying to prioritize, like, my mental health and stuff more and, like, taking breaks and whatnot. I started playing it again, and it just felt kind of wrong not streaming it, you know? And things have changed a lot, and like I said, it's gonna be different, you know, but at the end of the day, you know, it's just, I like streaming, you know, I have to be careful. If I do it too much, I don't want to hurt myself again, but it just felt wrong to play Skyrim and not stream it, you know? I even found myself, like, this could sound so cringe. I found myself, like, thinking of things I would say when certain things happened, or, like, how funny this would be on stream if you guys were, like, I know that probably sounds really cringe, but but that's what I thought of, you know? Oh, hello. Okay, let's see. What is this? This is just the stables. Alright, and then do you have anything for me, Kaji Caravan? I can't believe we haven't... Although it did say I could fast travel to Whiterun, and that might help.
I am staying out of this.
What? Wait, what the fuck? Oh my god, there's a bear! Oh wait, that's a troll. Okay, hold on. Anyway. Anyway, there we go. Okay. Can I buy your wares now, ma'am? What are we fighting now? Why are you running into the... Oh my god! What the fuck was that? What the fuck was that? No! No, where did that put me back? Oh, no! I have to go get the stone of Boobach! No, this is so fucked up. I at least killed her already, right? And I have to talk to Maven again? I don't want to do that. We're gonna do that later. Fuck it. I don't want to do that anymore. This is stupid. I want to go to Whiterun. Whee! Actually, do I have something to do in Riverwood? What is this? It says I have something to do in Riverwood. Well, I guess we're going to Riverwood. Fuck this. I'm out. I'll do it later. I'll do it off stream. It's one of those things where it's like, I could do it again. I really don't want to. I just don't feel like it. So I'll do it off stream and we'll have it done then. But I'm not going to subject you all to me being directionally challenged and lost in the Mistveil Keep. Let me see though. I'm curious. Do I have... Because I think I prepared everything for streaming again. But I don't know if I have my ad button, and I am out of water, so I might do an ad break just so we can clear that so you guys don't get ads in the middle. Oh, it crashed. What a great time for an ad break. we were going pretty strong for a while. Hold on. Where's my... I think it's view, docs, Twitch stuff? There we go. So I need more water anyway, and we're not ending stream until I get kidnapped by the hot lady. So I'm gonna run an ad break for like 3 minutes just to give me a break real quick, give you guys a chance to go get water and stuff like that. I'm gonna go get more water. I might get some tea actually too. And we will be right back. So let me put it back on here, and we will put the BGM back on. There we go. All right, I will be right back. Boop. Alrighty. The game is hopefully coming back. Hopefully. And if it doesn't, then I don't know. I don't know. But, you know, it's going. It's just, she's a little slow. I was talking to David downstairs, though. Which, side note, this is the crazy thing about living with your very supportive parents, okay? Is I go downstairs, and I see my stream on the TV, and my mom and my dad and David sitting there. And I'm very grateful for them. But then I pause as I've walked up the stairs again with my mug of ginger tea in my hand, and I'm like, wow. I sure said some things today, didn't I? I sure did. Oh, turtle! See, I don't just take pictures of my characters getting their dick sucked. I also take screenshots of the cute animals too. See? But I think I just proved my point. God damn it. Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad. Glad you're enjoying the stream. Hi, Mumby. Yeah, chat, say hi. Say hi, Mumby. Say hi, Debbie. Say hi, David. We still have the hi, David emote. We have an emote just for that.
Looking to stay alive?
Okay, where are we going? Hey, man. Oh, he is sprinting. I love how they just run so fast. Okay, this one I will do because she's right there, but I'm not going back into the fucking tower of fuck.
You gonna buy something or just here for training?
She's so mean. Why is she mean? I mean, I guess she's in Riften.
I told you not to ask.
Do you feel like Riften is like the Skyrim equivalent of like Boston or New York? Do you feel like it's more Boston or more New York? I feel like, oh, his cat ears fixed themselves. He's so pretty. I love him. Anyway, but like, I haven't spent a ton of time in like either city, so I wouldn't be able to make like an educated like assessment on that. But like, I don't know, people in Boston are really mean. But also, I feel like people in New York aren't as mean, but it does smell like piss. Like, I don't know, my sister is watching too, so I'm not gonna like drag her. And I love my sister dearly. I love you, gamer, if you're watching this. But she really likes going to New York City. And that's valid. A lot of people like going to New York City. That makes sense, objectively speaking. However, the one thing that, like, she'll ask me, she'll be like, don't you want to go to New York? We can do this big trip to New York. And I'm like, no. And she'll ask me, she'll be like, why? I'm like, because all I remember from the one time I went to New York is it smelled like piss the entire time. Like, that was like the most piss I had ever smelled in my life. And it was just like walking through New York. That's all I remember. So I don't know if Riften is more New York coded or Boston coded. I did go to Boston once though, to see a Red Sox game. That was really cool. What is going? Oh, I have to meet Delphine here. Okay, I guess when in Rome. The courier still hasn't come to me yet. But we'll go talk to Delphine and see what she has to say. So like I said, I had only done the in the main quest, I just killed the big dragon on the burial mound. So that's where we're at. I think we're about to enter the Thalmor embassy.
Come on, I have a plan.
Oh, there is a slight elephant in the room. We should probably address.
At last, the Nerevarine has arrived, in this age and on this current build of Skyrim.
Want to talk to Dang Author?
Come now, Nerevar. Let us not play these games. I didn't just magically appear in your mind. Shall I accompany you?
Why are you calling me Nerevar?
Oh, so that's the kind of playthrough you are going for? Are you some kind of immersion elitist, Nerevar? I've got terrible news for you
choked
then.
on my tea.
I plan on breaking your immersion at every possible chance I am given. If this relationship won't work for you, you better leave me here or go remove my files or something.
No, really. Who are you? Let's commit to the bit.
Have I found myself in some type of mod pack? Is the prospect of dragging and dropping some files into your Skyrim folder really too advanced for you?
Yeah!
Are you really incapable of reading instructions and avoiding mod conflicts?
Yeah!
By Azura, both MO2 and Vortex have loot built into them to check those things.
God, this is so
Is
fucking
it truly
meta.
beyond you?
Yeah.
Or perhaps you're asking so you can see all of the dialogue options. Well, Nerevar, I hope you are happy, because now I am going to start mining Bitcoin on your GPU in the background.
Alright. That was great. That was awesome. Who are you?
Make it quick.
Alchemist.
Take a look.
That's kind of shady, but okay.
Until next
Maybe we'll bring him along a little later. I don't know if we're gonna bring Dagatha around for now,
I
but
figured out how we're going to get you.
maybe as a treat. Okay. You're not coming?
That would be a bad idea. I'd be too likely to attract the wrong kind of attention. But they don't know you at all yet.
No. So what is your plan? How do I infiltrate the Thalmor embassy?
The Thalmor ambassador, Elenwen, regularly throws parties where the rich and connected cozy up to the Thalmor. I can get you into one of those parties. Once you're inside the embassy, you can get away and find Elenwen's secret files. I have a contact inside the embassy. He's not up for this kind of high-risk mission.
I love
but he
high
can help
risk.
you. His name is Malborn. Wood Elf. Plenty of reason to hate the Thalmor. You can trust him.
Okay.
I'll get word for him to meet you in Solitude at the Winking Skeever. You know it?
Yeah.
While you're doing that, I'll work on getting you an invitation to Elenwen's
I
little
love
party.
parties.
Meet me at the Solitude stables after you've arranged things with Malborn. Any questions?
No, ma'am. I think I'm good. Once I'm inside the embassy, though, now what?
That's when the fun starts.
Oh.
You'll have to slip away from the party.
Oh,
without
Jesus
raising
Christ.
the alarm. Then you'll need to find Elenwen's office and search.
I guess
for
he
files.
really wanted to enchant
Malborn
something.
should be able to point you in the right direction.
Okay, I will see you in Solitude then after I meet with
Sounds
Malborn.
good. Be careful.
Okay. Alright, let's see. Yeah, no, I already took everything from here that I can. Let's see. Do you have any cheese I can steal? I think I've already gotten the river with cheese, so I think we're good there. Okay. Let's see. Who are you? Oh, that's Camilla. Okay. Let's see if we get our letter. I want our letter so bad. I'm gonna feel like fucking Blue's Clues when we get this letter. Let me see. Okay. Still no courier. Let's maybe wait another few hours. It can't be bugged, is it? Maybe I have to sleep again? Because it feels like I'm supposed to get the we know letter, right? Let's sleep here and see what happens. And maybe I'll get the letter in the morning.
Welcome. Let me know.
I know I told you I was going to Solitude, but first I'm going to take a little nap because I'm eepee. Where's... Okay, I know we are doing the whole your secret innkeeper bit, but like, can I actually get a room?
Rooms and food.
There we go.
Sure thing. It's yours for a day.
Thank you.
I'll show
Okay.
you to your room.
Let's see. All right. We'll go till 10:40 a.m. This tea feels so good on my throat. I'm not gonna lie. If you have throat problems, ginger tea, it can taste like ass, but oh my god, it fixes it. Why did I randomly get a piece of charcoal? Did one of you fuckers give me charcoal? Okay. Sometimes my followers will give me gifts and it's like, I was thinking of you, have this, and it's like a log. And I'm like, okay, thanks, man. Appreciate it. Courier, 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 courier. I've never wanted to see a courier so much before. This is so fucked up. Okay, let me look. At the Dark Brotherhood won't kidnap me. You don't have to receive the note. Hillbrella. Oh! I have to talk to... Okay. I think I have to go back to Aventus. Okay, we need to go back to Windtown. Hold up. We are kind of... And you'll know... My plan for this is I don't have survival mode enabled right now. I may enable it again later. But right now, I'm kind of just like... doing whatever. There may be some other streams though. I think like next stream I'll probably turn it back on. Because I like survival mode. I know a lot of people don't. But I like it. But right now, because I am trying to speed run getting kidnapped by a hot lady, and we're doing a lot of standing around and waiting for a letter that couldn't even come, god damn it. We are going to keep it off for now since we're being a little silly, you know? This tea is so fucking good. Okay, alright, let me see. Where does he live? I forgot about this. Is it just me, or is Argentino's house like a really weird part of Windtown? Like, this is so... Like, whose house is built like this? Who thought of this? Oh, yeah, I live on the fucking... What shape is that? Oh, yeah, man, come to my house. I live at the parallelogram. Like, what the fuck? That's not a parallelogram. An arch? It's like an arch, right? I don't know. I have a music degree. Don't ask me these questions.
Well, Growlhog the Kind. Is she, you know?
Yeah, I shot her in the face, and then everyone started Fortnite dancing over her dead body. It was awesome.
I knew you could
Can
do
someone
it.
make a mod where the kids do start Fortnite dancing?
Save me. Here, just like I promised. This should fetch you a nice price.
Yeah?
Thank you. Thank you again.
Okay. What'd he give me? But did he not even give it to me?
I'm going to be an assassin. That way I can help lots of children just like you.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Wait, give me the family heirloom. How much? You said it would fetch a pretty price. Let's see. Where is it? Family heirloom. Here, let me do it actually like this. Okay. Well, it is a display. It is a display. This man is an instrument. If you try hard enough. 100 gold. I can't believe I killed someone as a charity case. That's crazy if you think about it. Jesus Christ. Okay. Alright, now that we have the thing, now what we'll do is we'll travel back to, let's see, well, let's go back to Whiterun, because I think that'll be, and let me save, actually, because if it crashes again after I did all that, I will crash, out. But let's see. Okay, there we go. Oh, hi. Actually, no, this one's fine. We can look at this one. I think this one's really cute. I think this one's really cute, actually. We can all stare at the Yowie together. By the way, which mod pack is this? This is a modified version of Blood and Lust. I've added a few of my own mods. Proteus is a really big one in this one as well. As well as a few hair mods and a few, like, extra armors. And I think, I don't know. I should probably upload this to ModWatch, but I don't know what I'm gonna do. If I keep with this mod list or if I do. There is part of me that's like, I do kind of want to make my own, like, full stop, but it just seems so daunting. But I don't know, Dagoth kind of read me for filth. So who knows, actually. Maybe I need to stop being a little bitch baby. Oh wait, type / mod list. See if that works. That might give you a direct link to it. Although you will need to be logged into Nexus to Nexus to see it, because there's titties there. There's a lot of titties there. And other fun mods, like O Come Ascended. Because O Come, the original, left so many unanswered questions. We needed O Come Ascended. Okay.
I enjoy this
Sorry.
work well enough, but I'm ready to retire.
That's great.
Sure thing. It's yours for a day.
Why do you have a mammoth
I'll show
tusk
you
back
to your
there?
room, right this way.
Curious. Okay. Hi. Sorry. Okay, let's go here. Is there anything I can steal in here? No. Okay. Thought I heard something. No. Okay. One of my favorite hobbies, and this is, I think this might make me a cuck, but like only in Skyrim, is I meant to disable OSTIM NPCs, but I kept it on. I just made it so my followers wouldn't have sex with each other. But one of my, it's happening! It's happening! It's happening! Hi.
Sleep well.
What? Where am I? Who are you?
Does it matter? You're warm, dry, and still very much alive. That's more than can be said for old Grelod,
Come here often,
Half of Skyrim knows. Old hag gets butchered in her own orphanage.
I did do that.
Things like that tend to get around.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Don't
They were
misunderstand.
Fortnite dancing and everything.
I'm not criticizing. It was a good kill. Old Crone had it coming. And you saved a group of urchins to boot.
Yeah.
But there is a slight problem.
A problem? Why?
You see, that little Aretino boy was looking for the Dark Brotherhood. For me,
I genuinely don't think we've
and
ever
my
done this on stream. Or if we have, it's been a very long time
was
since we've
by
done it.
all rights a Dark Brotherhood contract. A kill that you stole. A
My bad.
kill you must repay.
Oh, okay. You want me to murder someone else? I mean, like,
Well, now,
this
funny you should
man's
ask.
rap
If
sheet
you
is
turn
longer than a
around, you'll
CVS
notice my
receipt. You tell me to
guests.
kill more people, and
I've
he's gonna be like,
collected
all right,
them from-
like, another thing to do
Well,
on the to-do
That's
list.
not
Like,
really important. The here and now. That's what matters. You see, There's a contract out on one of them, and that person can't leave this room alive. But, oh, which one? Go on. See if you can figure it out.
Alright, for the bit.
Make your choice. Make your kill. I just want to observe and admire.
She's so horny about this. Like, I know that you can't, like, she's canonically married to the werewolf guy, right? I think they're swingers. Is that an acceptable headcanon? I feel like they're swingers, because she's way too horny right now to, like, not be, right? Okay.
See, I knew we could resolve this civilly. A debt owed must be repaid. You understand that?
Yeah.
Well, get to it then. Pick your guest and send the poor fool.
She's
to the
tired
void.
of it.
I'll give you the key to this.
She got
shack
kind of
and you'll be
angry
on
there,
your
like,
way.
okay, go, white boy, go. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'm sorry. Okay. Oh, hey, the whole gang's here too. Me and the boys in a hostage assassination. Let's go. Okay. I don't want to waste my arrows on this, so I guess they're gonna get Minecrafted to death with me and the old pickaxe. Oh god. Oh no, this could be. Don't go to bed. What's his deal? He's always sleeping. Just. I need to give him a staff or something. Why is he? Why is he? Okay. Is there anything cool in here? Okay, let's see. Like, if I don't kill them in one hit, are they just gonna, like, fucking mog him to death?
I can hear you talking out there. Please let me go. I've done nothing to you.
Would someone pay to have you killed?
What? Oh, God. I don't want to die.
Suspicious. Don't be afraid. Wait, I have my hat. Hold on. I have my intimidation hat. Hold on. Where's my intimidation hat? Yeah, almost all persuasion attempts will be successful. Lurking Joel, thank you so much for the follow. Welcome to the stream. You can't see because my big old head's in the way. But it says almost all persuasion attempts will be successful. So let me put on my scary hat. See, now I don't look like a cute twink. Now I look horrifying. Hi. Although he can't see me, so I don't know. I didn't think that through.
I don't want to die.
Don't be afraid. You can tell me. Tuck's hair behind ear.
Okay, well, I guess it's possible.
It's my favorite hat in the base.
I've been
It's so
selling
fun.
a sword arm for years now. Killed a lot of people. Could be someone wanted revenge.
I mean, yeah.
But you're not going to kill me, right?
I don't know.
Get these things off of me.
Please, whatever it is.
Excuse me.
Would someone pay to have you killed?
What kind of question is that?
Well, just tell me what I need to know.
I'm a woman living in Skyrim with 6 children and no husband. I don't have the time or the patience to be nice. Do some people
Good for
look
her.
down on me? Have I made some enemies? You're damn right.
I love her, actually.
None of your damn business who I am. If you're going to kill me, just do it already.
She's actually kind of
Mara
based.
is my witness. If I didn't have this hood on right now, I would spit right in your face.
Honestly, like, I'm gonna kill all of them. But, like, I like her.
Now, let me out of here.
Whoever this is, clearly we
Wait,
got to find the
what
right
happened to your hood? Wait, someone's
This is not
cheating.
the first time I have been bagged and dragged. Come now.
Wait.
Whatever the problem, we can...
Okay, let's skip this.
Are you serious?
What happened?
The real question is, would someone pay to have me killed?
I think it's because the outfit replaced her. But it's like,
A day goes
you're
by
cheating.
Without someone trying to catch
Yeah,
me
he's
in
seen
the
too much. He's
street.
gotta go. Absolutely.
I get disappointed.
Who are you?
Varsha, at your service. Obtainer of goods, taker of lives, and defiler of daughters.
Ew!
Have you not heard of me? Perhaps I will have my people carve my name in your corpse.
But he's definitely gotta go. Alright.
Tell you what,
If I do this,
you
wait, I
release
wanna
me,
ooh.
and I promise my
I wanna try something. This is gonna be really embarrassing if I miss, but I wanna try something. Hold up.
will not hunt
Can
you
I get
down
them all
every
in one
time I
go?
put you in
Oh wait, let me put my arrow back on. Here we go. Okay, let me see if this works. If I position it like maybe right at here? I get all of them? That hit none of them! Okay, maybe right in the titty. And maybe the explosion will... Okay, now that just feels excessive. Let's do it again. Whee! I'm a bad person. I'm going to hell. I made a mess. Sorry. Sorry, I made a mess.
Well, well. Aren't we the overachiever? 3 possibilities, 3 victims. Must have been one of them, right?
Yeah.
So why take chances?
Yeah. I also want to loot all of their bodies. Who was it?
Oh, no, no, no. Don't you understand? Guilt, innocence, right, wrong, irrelevant. What matters is I ordered you to kill someone, and you obeyed.
I did. Can I go now?
Of course. And you've repaid your debt in full. Here's the key to the shack. But why stop here? I say we take our relationship to the next level.
With pegging.
I would like to officially extend to you an invitation to join my family.
Oh.
The Dark Brotherhood.
Yeah, that works
in
too.
the southwest reaches of Skyrim, in the Pine Forest, you'll find the entrance to our sanctuary.
I love Dark Brotherhood. Dark Brotherhood is by far my favorite quest line, so I am kind of shocked we haven't done it often. I guess we just haven't played a lot of assassin characters.
Silence, my brother. Then you're in, and your new life begins.
I feel like we should try bringing Fulger in, though, if we're doing Dark Brotherhood. So maybe, we'll see, but, well, is there anything else I can take from here? Because I almost missed the doll. Well, I would like my arrows back. Let me grab those real quick. Oh, good night. He's sick of this shit. He's sick of my ass. I love that. Okay. All right, let's head out and let's see. Do we want to try going to the sanctuary? We could. Let me see where we're at, because I don't remember actually where the abandoned shack is, to be honest. Let's see. I'm just gonna start doing that whenever. Wait, what?
Where did you go?
Oh, I don't feel like dealing with you. I'm sorry. There's so many NPC mods in here that's like, it's a mod pack, right? I know she's meant to be cute, but she annoys me. I don't feel like dealing with this.
How long will it take her to wait? Let's move.
I don't really want to talk to you. You're also like 10. Can you leave me alone? Oh, god damn it. Leave me alone.
What?
No. It's fine.
But you have blood on you. Is it yours? And what were you doing in there?
I'll tell you when you're older.
Very well. She believes you. She'll stick close.
Okay. I don't want her to actually...
Yes?
Yeah. How do I get rid of her? How did I get rid of her the first time? Didn't I just...
Why does it take so long?
Didn't I just... I think I just disabled her last time. Because she annoyed me so much. Is she gonna still follow me? It had a let's go option. We'll see. Because I think I genuinely might have disabled her the first time. Actually, it's really...
Weather to spend some time at home.
Girl, shut up. It's actually kind of dark inside. Can I go back in? It's spooky outside. Is Astrid still here, actually? Hold up. Oh, no, she's out of there. Right, well, maybe Velethel had the right idea. I'm going to bed. Good night. Well, we'll come back to this in the morning. But yeah, let's see how close we are to the sanctuary. I'm curious. And actually, since we are doing the assassin bit, I think what we will do...
Can I help you?
...is I think I have Varen set to go to White Hearth. Because I don't want to have more than 3 at a time, right? So let's try it with Fuldra. And then if it works, we'll send him back to White Hearth, okay? We will send the cat boy back home. Let's see if it works. Import. Okay, so Fuldra is already imported. Let's see if we can summon her. Where is she at? And Fuldra. I don't know what I expected! Okay, well, there's the answer to that question. Oh man, yeah. David literally was like, "Girl, this save is gonna be so fucked." I thought maybe enough time had passed. Maybe it'd be fine. Shows what the fuck I know. We might have to delete her and add her back in, is what we might have to do, genuinely. But that's okay. We will continue on without her, and the cat boy lives for now. The cat boy will live for now. But yeah, I think what we'll do is we might hold off on starting Dark Brotherhood then, because I would like to have her there for that. I do really like Faldra, and I would like to have her there for that. But we have had it started, and I did get kidnapped by a hot lady, so that we got to do. That I'm happy for. That was the big goal, is see the hot lady get kidnapped, you know? Which is my goal every day, really, if you think about it. Alright, let's see. Although it is getting kind of late, and I do need to eat dinner, so we might wrap up soon, actually. Why don't we... yeah, because I do need to eat dinner. When did I eat last? Like, 2? So that wasn't too bad, but... it is getting kind of late, though. So I think what we'll do, actually, is I think that might be a sign. Because we have been going for a while. I used to only stream for like 2 hours. We've been going for almost like 3 hours, which is kind of crazy. Raid another off-choir member? Yeah, is anyone live? Is any off-choir people live? I would absolutely love to raid them. I think what we'll do is we will start wrapping up here for today, actually. Oh, Choco Milky, thank you so much for the follow. Hey, girl. Oh, Kiri's live. We'll raid Kiri. I love her. Let me do this. And we'll... where's that? Let me do my little thingy. There we go. I need to put chat back. I lost... I was moving it around so much. For, for, my autism moment. But yeah, so let me see. But yeah, thank you guys so much again, as always, for being here. For coming back after all this time. I really, really am, I'm grateful that you guys are still hanging out and still want to hang out with me. So it's gonna be a little different. Like I mentioned, I don't have the time or the energy, unfortunately, to manage a Discord. Oh, thank you for the hydrates, Itsuno. I don't have the time, and I don't really have the time or the energy. It's just one of those things where it's like, the parts of content creation that I like, I'm gonna do. And the parts I don't like, I'm simply not gonna do. So, I might still make like TikToks and little things like that here and there, but it'll be pretty sporadic. Because, you know, it's all for my writing, you know? So if you would like to keep up, with my writing, if you would like to keep up with, updates on when my next stream is gonna be, I'm gonna be posting those on Bluesky. I'm keeping in case you missed it, I'm keeping my Twitter account for work, and I know it gets confusing because it's like VTuber work versus VTuber fun stuff, which is part of why I'm going to be doing IRL streams and stuff here too. Like I still like my VTuber models. I love them a lot. So I don't want to completely stop doing, you know, VTubing stuff, but it's going to be kind of like a, I don't know, it really will depend on the vibes, you know? Hi, Sky! I feel bad because we're about to wrap up. But yeah, I'm going to do what I like. I'm not going to do things I don't like. Right. If you'd like to keep up with so I'm not going to be posting about my streams and stuff on my, you know, eebee Music Studio Twitter. Just because, like I said, I have a lot of people that follow me there that I really respect and work with professionally. And I don't want them to see this shit. I don't want to subject them to my yaoi and yuri posting. So definitely follow me there. I will also put them on YouTube too. And I do still want to make covers and stuff. I would really like to make covers and like have the art and visuals be related to my characters rather than me. I do want to try doing that because that also means I can get art of boys kissing and write it off on my taxes. And that just seems like the smart, reasonable thing to do. So I do want to do that, although I don't know when I'm gonna have time to do a cover. Well, I am actually working on a cover right now. It's a big group collab with a bunch of different gals. We're gonna do Zoku Zoku for Halloween. And I'm doing the harmony arrangements, I'm singing in it, and I'm also mixing it. So that'll be fun. We'll have a Halloween cover. I've wanted to do a Halloween cover for so long, but I just like never had the time to, really. So I think that'll be really fun. But yeah, so let's raid Kiri. We will raid another off-choir member. Let me make sure I spelt her name right. Kiri Armis. Okay, I almost forgot the VT. Okay, there we go. We'll raid her. What will our raid message be? We could always do Yaoi raid, or is that too on the nose? Although she really likes Yuri. Should we do Yuri raid? Let's do Yuri raid. Yuri raid. Yesterday was Yaoi day. Today can be Yuri raid. I can even, hold on. Let me put the... I don't have the picture of the girls kissing on hand to put on there. So if you are not subbed, you can use this one. And if you are subbed, you can use this one. Where is that? Yuri raid. Oh my god, I can't type. Okay, let me copy paste that. There we go. Okay. So, I am gonna hopefully, I'll announce on YouTube and Bluesky when I do another stream. And I am gonna probably do some like creative streams and stuff too. I am thinking about doing some drawing streams and stuff like that too. But it'll be fun, you know, and I'll keep you guys in the loop. I post on Bluesky about every day, give or take, and yeah, I'm just, thank you all so much for being here. I'm so appreciative. Thank you all for being here, and I will hopefully see you next Sunday, maybe before that, right? But yeah, all right. Have a good day, gamers.